Chapter 227. Right now, the Wuling County was really flooded with blood. Hunchback Tian carried out Lu Li's order to the letter. All the warriors in brown armors were killed. Lu Li was also in a frenzy of killing. He killed every warrior in the Bu family armors. Luckily, Lu Li had not lost his mind. He didn't kill the civilians and their families. It was normal to kill warriors of the northern desert. However, killing families, children, the elderly, and civilians would be looked down upon by the world. The Bu family had crossed the line this time. They killed all the people of the Delong tribe and hung their bodies on the fence. What angered Lu Li the most was that they dug up his grandpa's grave. His grandpa had been dead for more than 10 years, and they still didn't let him rest in peace. This time, it was the Yu family that planned this. Lu Li was ready to slap the Yu family in the face and collect some interest. When Yi Cha and the others came out, Lu Li would go to the Yu Emperor's city himself and kill the family patriarch of the Yu family. The Bu family was a third-rank family with only one warrior of the Fate Wheel realm. But he had run away. The rest of the warriors lost their will to fight. Those that could run did. Those that couldn't were killed by Lu Li and Hunchback Tian. There were many warriors of the Bu family. By the time Lu Li and Hunchback Tian noticed that there were no warriors in brown armors in the city, nearly 2,000 warriors of the Bu family had been killed. Hunchback Tian looked around and asked Lu Li, who was covered in blood, "Master, should we kill the ones that ran away?" "Never mind. Let's go." Lu Li was tired and numb from all the killing. He calmed down. He knew that if he didn't leave now, he and Hunchback Tian would stay here forever. Hunchback Tian nodded. He took Lu Li on his fate wheel and flew away at the top of his speed. Soon, they disappeared into the sky in the south. What was left was the Wuling County that was dyed red with blood and many civilians that were scared silly. Many civilians of the Wuling County were actually from the old days. They were familiar with the name Lu Li. The Yu family once asked around for information about Lu Li and his sister. Many people sighed. A guest warrior of the Lu family had grown to such a stage. Even though all the warriors of the Delong tribe were dead, they should be content now. Hunchback Tian was very careful. After flying Lu Li in a straight line towards the Thousand Island Lake for some distance, he immediately went underground. Then he put on a disguise for Lu Li and changed his appearance again. They started to take a detour back to the Thousand Island Lake in a low profile. Half a day later, a huge iron-armored ship came from the north. On the deck, Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang stood at the front with Lu Yi and two patriarchs by their side. As for Bai Shi and the others, they were resting in the cabin. It was not because the iron-armored ship was fast, but because Bai Qiushue was worried about Lu Li. After he left the Yu Emperor's city, he found a region city and teleported to a nearby region city. Then he took an iron-armored ship and hurried over. Although the scouts of the Yu family would not lie, the Yu family still had many experts stationed in the nearby counties. Autumn Snow would naturally want to play it safe. When they arrived at the Wuling County, all they could see was red. The plaza was already dyed red with blood, and there were corpses everywhere. The Bu family's people didn't dare to return, and the citizens of the city didn't dare to touch these corpses. They could only leave them scattered in the city. Lu Li has massacred the entire city. Bai Xiaoshuang stuck out her tongue, but she did not feel disgusted or disgusted at all. Instead, she was very excited. At the northern desert, only those who could kill people could be called men. If they didn't even have the courage to kill, then they were just good-for-nothings. Bai Qiushue stared at the huge, three-layered fate wheel in the city. There was an obvious hole on the fate wheel, and next to it was a powerful warrior of the Yu family whose head was smashed. Everything was exactly as the scout leader had described. Was it really Lu Li who killed the warrior? Not only Bai Qiushue, but also the two patriarchs of the Eternal Realm noticed it. They were surprised. "Grandpa Go, can you go and ask about it?" Bai Qiushue looked to a patriarch who nodded and flew down. He used his psychic power to check on several warriors of small families. He shouted coldly, "Come here and answer me." The Spirit Sea Realm warriors of the small families walked over in fear. The patriarch of the Bai family pointed to Yu Yang's body and asked, "Who killed him?" The warriors thought that Bai Qiushue and the others were powerful warriors of the Yu family. They knelt down in fear. One of them stammered, "It was Lu Li. It was Lu Li." Bai Qiushue was stunned. The eyes of the other patriarch of the Bai family behind her glowed. Even Bai Shi and the others used their psychic power to check. The patriarch of the Bai family asked in disbelief, "Are you sure? You saw it with your own eyes?" "Yes." That man nodded like a chick pecking on grains. He pointed to Yu Yang's body and said, "Both Castellan Bu and this lord said that the young man was Lu Li. We saw Lu Li break this lord's fate wheel with our own eyes. Then this lord fell from the sky, and Lu Li smashed his head with a halberd." Halberd, Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang looked at each other. Lu Li did use a halberd. It cannot be wrong. But how could Lu Li destroy a 3-layered fate wheel? With every layer, the fate wheel would be harder. Even average warriors at the peak of the fate wheel realm would find it hard to destroy the fate wheel of another warrior at the peak of the fate wheel realm, let alone Lu Li. Where is Lu Li? How long has he been gone? The patriarch of the Bai family asked again. A warrior of a small family pointed to the south and said, "He escaped. He was taken away by a warrior at the initial stage of the fate wheel realm. They are flying towards here." Whoosh! There was nothing more to ask. The patriarch of the Bai family flew into the cabin. He looked at Bai Shi, who had long white eyebrows, and asked, "Brother Shi, what do you think?" Bai Qiushue and the others followed him in. Bai Shi didn't express his opinion. He waved his hand and said, "We will know when we find Lu Li. We will fly towards the Thousand Island Lake slowly. Bai Gu and Bai Rui, you go and find Lu Li. Now that things are going well, don't let that punk die. Don't embarrass me." "Yes." Bai Gu and another patriarch took the order and flew down. Soon, they disappeared into the mountains in the distance. For Bai Shi, 2 warriors of the Eternal Realm were enough to search for Lu Li. Seeing that Bai Shi didn't even look at her, Bai Qiushue walked to him with a sweet smile, bowed and said, "Thank you, Grandpa Shi. I will be punished by the family when I get back." Bai Xiaoshuang strode over as well. Instead of asking for forgiveness, she grabbed Bai Shi's arm and shook it. She said in a spoiled manner, "Grandpa Shi, you are the best to us. Please don't be mad at us, okay?" Bai Shi couldn't even sit still because of Bai Xiaoshuang's shaking. He glared at Bai Xiaoshuang and Bai Qiushue and said, "You two are too mischievous. Let's see how your aunt will punish you." Bai Xiaoshuang stuck her tongue out mischievously and said, "I have Grandpa Shi to back me up. I'm not afraid of aunt." Bai Shi's tense face eased up, seeing how mischievous Bai Xiaoshuang was. He looked at Bai Qiushue, amused and annoyed at the same time, and said, "For you, I have come all the way here. Do you think it is easy to sleep in the open?" Shui, that punk Lu Li doesn't know what's good for him. He didn't even join the Bai family. How come you are trying so hard to help him? Do you like this punk?" "Grandpa Shi, what are you talking about?" Bai Qiushue blushed. She was so shy that she stomped her feet and walked out. Chapter 228. Lu Li and Hunchback Tian had left. Bai Shi, Bai Qiushue, and Bai Xiaoshuang had left as well. At this moment, she was even leaving in the iron-armored ship without activating the inhibition formation. Clearly, he was humiliating the Yu family. Yu Huashan had to swallow his anger. He called back all the warriors of the Bai family. Soon, the news spread across the entire northern desert. Inevitably, the Yu family became the laughingstock of all the other families. The Yu family had set up a trap to save some face and to avenge Yu Lingshu. Lu Li was lured out, but so were Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang. In the end, she was lured out of the Thousand Island Lake. The point was that the Yu family didn't kill Lu Li. Instead, they were humiliated by Bai Shi. The clever part was that Yu Lingshu almost killed Bai Qiushue, Zilian, Yi Yuhan, and Du Xiling at the Mountain of Dragon King. Zilian testified in person, which gave Bai Shi a justifiable reason. The Yu family had lost people, and they were in the wrong. The Zi family, the Yi family, and the Du family couldn't do anything about it. The Yu family had to suffer in silence. They put on a show and made a scene. In the end, they shot themselves in the foot. They lost many scouts and several warriors of the Fate Wheel realm. They became the laughingstock of the northern desert. Yu Huashan was so angry that he even smashed the gate of his own yard. All the patriarchs of the Yu family felt wronged. They wished they could go after Lu Li with their sabers and cut the initiator of all this into pieces. Of course, nobody dared to move. If they were to act recklessly, Bai Shi would have an excuse to make a move. The old man of Heaven Prison would destroy the Yu family again, which would make him more famous. Everyone just bear with it. It won't be long before I'll definitely avenge everyone. Leaving these words, Yu Luan looked towards the south with his snake-like eyes, then walked towards the Yu family in big strides and disappeared. Bai Shi had overestimated the abilities of Bai Gu and Bai Rui and underestimated Hunchback Tian and Lu Li. They had been searching for 3 days, but they couldn't find Lu Li. Bai Qiushue, Bai Shuang, and Lu Yi were getting anxious. They thought Lu Li had been secretly killed by the Yu family. Bai Shi didn't think Yu Huashan had the guts. He flew the iron-armored ship towards the Thousand Island Lake while he sent a message back, asking the scouts of the Yu family to pay attention to everything at the northeast of the Thousand Island Lake. 3 days later, there was still no news from Bai Gu and Bai Rui. The iron-armored ship had entered the Thousand Island Lake. Bai Qiushue and Bai Shuang were still worried. They flew the battleship to the Blood Evil Island and waited for news. Bai Shi left a patriarch of the Eternal Realm to protect the others and went back to the Heaven Prison Island. Madame Yin sent someone over to reprimand them. She also told someone to tell Bai Qiushue and Bai Shuang to go back to the Heaven Prison Island as soon as Lu Li came back. On the second day after the two beauties stayed at the Blood Evil Island, Su Yaoyang, who was in closed-door cultivation, came out at once. How could Su Yaoyang let go of such a good opportunity? However, Bai Qiushue and Bai Shuang were not in a good mood. They only said a few words to him, and then Bai Qiushue went directly to the Dragon Elephant Mountain where Lu Li lived. Bai Shuang didn't want to talk nonsense with Su Yaoyang either. After exchanging a few pleasantries, she was ready to send him off. However, Su Yaoyang refused to leave and was ready to pester her. Bai Shuang was hot-tempered. She was still thinking about how to deal with Madame Yin when a fly kept buzzing around her. She got angry and decided to kick the fly away. Su Yaoyang was filled with anger, but he didn't dare to offend this young lady. He left the Blood Evil Island in a sour mood. As soon as he arrived at the dock of the Blood Evil Island, a battleship flew over. A scout of the Bai family ran over. What happened? Su Yaoyang asked casually. The scout knew that he was the #1 young master of the God-Down Island. The scout thought about it and said, Island owner Lu is back. He will arrive at the Blood Evil Island in 2 hours. Lu Li. Su Yaoyang's eyes were burning with anger. He had heard that Bai Shuang and Bai Qiushue went all the way to the Yu Emperor's city just for Lu Li. The two young ladies were living at the small Blood Evil Island. Of course, Su Yaoyang had an idea. Could it be that Bai Shuang and Bai Qiushue were in love with Lu Li? Otherwise, why would they send him off for 3 miles at the Heaven Prison City? Why would they go all the way to the Yu Emperor's city at the risk of their lives and now live here? Young people were often frivolous. Su Yaoyang found it hard to accept that the woman he liked was snatched away by a bastard that escaped from the Heaven Martial Kingdom. He decided not to leave after some thoughts. He waited at the dock for Lu Li's return. Not long afterwards, Lu Yi came to the dock with a group of disciples of the Lu family, ready to welcome Lu Li back. Lu Yi and the others didn't say anything when they saw Su Yaoyang. After all, the Blood Evil Island was affiliated to the God-Down Island. Bai Shuang and Bai Qiushue didn't come out to welcome Lu Li. Their identities were special. It was inevitable that they would be criticized if they came out to welcome Lu Li. Time moved on. Lu Yi and the others were getting more and more excited. Lu Li came all the way to the Wuling County, and he didn't die. Instead, he slaughtered the Bu family and became famous at the Northern Desert. Granted, Bai Qiushue, Bai Shuang, and Bai Shi helped him, and there was a mysterious, powerful warrior helping him in secret. But success was success. It was a miracle that Lu Li could come back alive. Whoosh! Finally, a 7-colored fate wheel came from afar. 2 figures gradually appeared in everyone's sight. Lu Yi looked at the face that was getting closer and clearer. She had an inexplicable urge to cry. Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 were excited. When Lu Li got closer, Patriarch 7 got down on one knee. The others shouted, "Welcome back, island owner." Lu Li held back her tears and said with a choked voice, "Island owner, welcome home." Lu Li didn't change much. He nodded and said, "Get up. We will talk about it when we get back." "Island owner Lu, you are so impressive." A cold voice came out. Su Yaoyang, who was standing on the side, said with jealousy, "Island owner Lu traveled thousands of miles, slaughtered the Wuling County, and shocked the northern desert. How can such a man live in our small 1,000-island lake? And he is affiliated to the God-Down Island. This is too much for us. How about I go back and report to my father later and let the God-Down Island be affiliated to the Blood Evil Island?" Lu Li was wearing a cyan robe. He didn't eat or sleep well these days, so he was thinner and darker. However, he looked more composed. His eyes were glowing, and he had a different temperament. He didn't get angry. Instead, he cupped his fist to Su Yaoyang and said, "Young Master Su, what are you talking about? The Blood Evil Island has always been following the lead of the God-Down Island. We have never been disrespectful. If you think I have done something wrong, please let me know. I will correct it." "What did you do wrong?" Su Yaoyang sneered. He felt disgusted looking at Lu Li. The more polite Lu Li was, the more uncomfortable Su Yaoyang felt. Su Yaoyang thought about it and said with a vicious glare in his eyes, "What you're doing now is wrong. I am the eldest young master of the Su family, the future family patriarch of the Su family. I can be considered your future master. Is this how you salute to your master? Kneel and talk to me." Su Chan stayed to embarrass Lu Li, to diminish his prestige, and to let by Xia Shuang and by Qiushue see that he was one of the best young masters of the Thousand-Island Lake, and that Lu Li was nothing. Therefore, he wanted Lu Li to kneel. If by Xia Shuang and by Qiushue still liked a man that was kneeling to him, then it would be humiliating. Swish, 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 Lu Li and Patriarch 7's expressions changed. It was true that Lu Li should kneel and salute to Su Yaoyang according to his status. Otherwise, the Su family would lose popularity. Su Chun would scold Su Yaoyang in anger when he learned about this. That being said, Su Yaoyang had lost his mind due to jealousy. He couldn't care less. Many people looked at Lu Li, wondering how he would deal with this situation. Lu Li was surprised. Then he glanced at Su Yaoyang and walked towards the Blood Evil Fortress without a care. Chapter 2:29. Lu Li never had a good impression of Su Yaoyang. This kind of young master was proud and arrogant. He looked down on a nobody like Lu Li who had risen from the grassroots. It didn't matter if others looked down on him, as long as they didn't provoke him. If it was just a small provocation, it wouldn't matter, but Su Yaoyang wanted him to kneel. This had already crossed Lu Li's bottom line. Men have gold under their knees. They kneel to the heavens, the earth, and their parents. This was what Lu Ling had taught him. He had never knelt to anyone. Even if Su Chun asked him to kneel today, he would turn against him, let alone Su Yaoyang. The Blood Evil Island was affiliated to the God-Down Island. Strictly speaking, the Su family was the master of Lu Li and the others. That being said, the relationship between the Su family and the Su family was not real. Even if it were, if the master insulted the servant at will, the servant would do something desperate. More importantly, Lu Li was not afraid of the God-Down Island. In the Wuling County, there was a warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm of the Yu family. His fate wheel was cracked by Little White, and he was killed in the end. The most powerful warrior of the God-Down Island, Su Yaoyang, was at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm. If the Su family disregarded the Bai family and Bai Qiushue and insisted on messing around, Lu Li could still fight back. Lu Li's words frightened the disciples of the Lu family. They all tensed up and looked at Su Yaoyang, fearing that Su Yaoyang would fly into a rage and kill Lu Li immediately. Su Yaoyang was angry indeed. He looked at Lu Li, who was striding towards the Blood Evil Fortress. Xian energy glowed in his hand, ready to cut Lu Li in half. Whoosh, Hunchback Tian carried out Lu Li's order to the letter. Seeing that Su Yaoyang was about to make a move, Hunchback Tian dashed to Su Yaoyang's side, grabbed his neck, and threw him into the lake. Plop! It was so easy for a Fate Wheel Realm warrior to throw a warrior at the initial stage of the Soul Pond realm. When Su Yaoyang was thrown into the lake, the warriors at the later stage of the Soul Pond realm didn't even have time to react. "Young master, how dare you?" His guard immediately drew out his weapon and shouted angrily. Hunchback Tian swept his leg and smashed the guard into the lake before he could draw his saber. All the disciples of the Liu family were dumbfounded. Liu, Yi, and Patriarch 7 looked at each other. Patriarch 9 and the others were terrified. Was Luli sure this was okay? Would Su Chan flatten the blood-evil island in a fit of rage? Good. In the lake, Su Yaoyang was embarrassed. He wiped his face and said angrily, "Luli, you have guts. Just you wait." With Hunchback Tian here, Su Yaoyang and the guard were no match for him. If the two of them still wanted to fight, they would be asking for humiliation. Su Yaoyang had to swim back to his battleship in rage. Along the way, he controlled the battleship to sail towards the God-Down Island while swearing. His eyes were filled with flames of anger. He wished he could kill everyone on the blood-evil island. Island Lord, Liu, Yi, and the others came to their senses and quickly chased after Liu Li. After they caught up with Liu Li, Liu Yi asked with concern, "Island owner, about Su Yaoyang, say no more." Liu Li waved his hand and said, "I have my own plan. Su Yaoyang cannot stir up any trouble." Looking at Liu Li's determined profile, Liu Yi somehow felt relieved. She thought about it and said, "Lady Qiushue and Lady Xiaoshuang are waiting for you at the Dragon Elephant Mountain. I have sent someone to tell them that you are back." Oh, the beautiful faces of the twins appeared in Liu Li's mind. He was touched. He nodded and said, "I will go and see them now." Liu Li strode towards the Dragon Elephant Mountain with Hunchback Tian. As soon as he got to the peak, he saw two identical beauties in the pavilion in front of the castle. One of them was standing, admiring the scenery in the distance, and the other was sitting quietly drinking tea. Today, both of them were wearing exquisite white silk dresses. Their hair was in the same bun, and there were two long white pendants by their ears. They looked elegant and noble. Liu Li knew without guessing that the one standing must be Bai Xiaoshuang, and the one sitting must be Bai Qiushue. He looked into Bai Qiushue's eyes as well. Their eyes lit up. The reason why Bai Qiushue's eyes lit up was that Liu Li had lost some weight, making him more capable and experienced. Liu Li's skin was tanned, and his beard was unkempt, which made him look more masculine. On top of that, Liu Li went on a killing spree in the Wuling County. Somehow, there was an aura of an unsheathed sword about him, which gave Bai Qiushue a special feeling. Ever since she was a kid, Bai Qiushue had been surrounded by a group of young masters. Many of those young masters were handsome and dashing. However, they were pampered and lived a life of luxury since they were young. Naturally, they were less masculine and more feminine. A lone wolf, a wild and untamed lone wolf. Liu Li gave Bai Qiushue the feeling of a lone wolf, which was completely different from the young masters of the Thousand Island Lake. The kind of wildness that came from the grassroots, the kind of unique temperament that came from going through countless trials and tribulations, was something that young masters could never fake. Bai Qiushue stood up. Bai Xiaoshuang turned around, but she didn't feel too much. Instead, she giggled and said, "Liu Li, you are finally back. We thought you were dead." Liu Li walked to the two, bowed with hands folded in front, and said, "Thank you, ladies, for your help. I am grateful. I owe you my life." Ha. Bai Xiaoshuang stuck her tongue out, enjoying it. Bai Qiushue, however, shook her head and said with a smile, "Liu Li, don't be in debt. You saved us at the tomb of Dragon King, so we are even now. I said that no matter what, we are friends. Shouldn't we help our friends when they are in trouble?" Liu Li didn't say much. He didn't like to waste time. Some things should be kept in mind. Before he could say anything, Bai Qiushue continued, "What's more, we didn't do much this time. We only helped you distract some powerful warriors of the Yu family. You can survive because of your own ability." Liu Li said, "You have helped me a lot. Not only did you help me distract the eternal realm warriors of the Yu family, but you also helped me clean up many scouts of the Yu family. Otherwise, I would have died before I got to the Wuling County. You are mistaken. Bai Chioshua put on a serious expression and said, the one who helped you clean up the scouts is not a powerful warrior of the Bai family. Luli, I was about to ask you, who is that? Ah, Luli was surprised. Then he asked with confusion, Lady Chioshua, are you sure that it is not a powerful warrior of the Bai family? That is impossible. Apart from the Bai family, who else would help me? Warriors of the Cyan Phoenix race would not come out. Mingyu never came to the Blood Evil Island since that time, which meant that Mingyu had decided that Lu Li was not Lu Renwang's son. Therefore, he would not help Lu Li. If it was not a powerful warrior of the Bai family, then who could it be? Bai Chioshua had been observing Lu Li's expressions and eyes. After she was sure that Lu Li was not lying, she was also confused. She shook her head and said, Grandpa, she said that it was not sent by him. Then it must not be a powerful warrior of the Bai family. That man should be of the Eternal Realm. Apart from the ones of the Bai family, there are 3 other family patriarchs of the 4th-rank families. Do you know them? No. Lu Li shook his head. He didn't even know which 4th-rank families it was. Bai Xiaoshuang interrupted. Then Lu Li, do you know any other powerful warriors of the Eternal Realm? Lu Li forced a smile and said, Lady Shuang, I was born in the Di Long tribe. 1 year ago, I was helping the Lu family to carry coffins. Some time ago, I was chased into the Thousand Island Lake. Do you think I know any powerful warriors of the Eternal Realm? Then who could it be? Chapter 230. After a while, the 3 of them could not come to a conclusion. Lu Li had never seen this man before, let alone guessing his identity. Bai Xiaoshuang suddenly asked Lu Li after some thoughts. Lu Li, let alone the mysterious, powerful warrior. Grandpa, she will look into it. Let me ask you, did you kill the Fate Wheel Realm warrior of the Yu family? Bai Chioshua's eyes glowed again. She stared at Lu Li. They were curious. How could Lu Li, a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm, kill a warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm? Lu Li shook his head with a bitter smile and said, Lady Shuang, do you think it is possible? Have you ever heard of a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm killing a warrior of the Fate Wheel realm? Not to mention the warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm. Bai Xiaoshuang blinked. She didn't believe it either. She said, but people at the Wuling County said they saw you do it with their own eyes. Yes. Lu Li nodded and said, I did kill him, but I killed a tiger. The Fate Wheel of the warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm was destroyed. He was badly injured, so I could kill him. I don't have the ability to destroy a Fate Wheel, not to mention a 3-layered one. It was the mysterious, powerful warrior who sneaked up on me. Oh, Bai Xiaoshuang understood, and so did Bai Chioshua. They could understand Lu Li's explanation now. A powerful warrior of the Eternal Realm sneaked up on a warrior of the Fate Wheel realm and destroyed his Fate Wheel. Lu Li was just killing a tiger. The 2 sisters didn't believe that Lu Li could do this either. Bai Chioshua was a bit disappointed. She thought Lu Li could give her a surprise. Lu Li was relieved. At first, he was thinking of using Hunchback Tian as a shield. Hearing that Bai Chioshua didn't know the identity of the mysterious, powerful warrior, Lu Li naturally put the blame on the mysterious, powerful warrior so that the Bai family wouldn't suspect anything. Little White's secret could not be exposed. Otherwise, the Bai family would fight for it. Nobody would let go of a magical beast that could break through the Fate Wheel realm easily. Of course, someone at the Wuling County had seen Little White. It would be exposed sooner or later, and the Yu family would know. But Lu Li wasn't worried. In half a year, Yi Cha and the others would come out. And Lu Li was not afraid of the Yu family. Also, after Yi Cha and the others came out, he would leave the Thousand Island Lake and the northern desert for the Central Plains. He was cultivating at the Thousand Island Lake because he was not powerful enough, so he could not go to the Central Plains. If Yi Cha could take him out of the Central Plains, of course, he would not sit still. He wanted to go back to the Central Plains to find the Lu family as soon as possible. After some thoughts, Bai Chioshua looked around and said, Lu Li, this is a nice place. Can we stay here for a few days? Lu Li was surprised. Bai Chioshua was going to stay at the Blood Evil Island temporarily. Were their identities suitable? This was where he lived. If the outside world knew that a man and a woman were living together, Wouldn't their reputation be ruined? He was already back, but the two sisters were still not going back. Could it be that he had taken a fancy to him? On this thought, Luli looked over to Bai Qiushua, only to see her blushing face. Luli's heart skipped a beat. He nodded and said, "It is the honor of the entire Blood Evil Island that you two ladies want to live here. I, Luli, am happy as well. Please don't worry and stay here. You can live here for the rest of your lives." A lifetime? Bai Qiushua's face was even redder. Bai Xiaoshuang glared at Luli and said, "Luli, you wish. We're just afraid that our auntie will scold us when we go back. We want to stay here for a few days and go back when our auntie is not angry anymore." A lifetime? You wish. Oh, I see. Luli finally understood. He felt even more embarrassed. Madame Yin was angry because the two sisters risked their lives to go to the Heaven Martial Kingdom for him. Luli was touched when he thought about how they risked their lives to help him. At once, Luli sent Hunchback Tian to find Patriarch 7 and arrange for some maids to come over. He also got many daily necessities, delicious food, and fruits. Of course, Luli dared not to live at the Dragon Elephant Mountain. That would damage their reputation. He didn't go back to the Earth Dragon Island either. He stayed at the Blood Evil Fortress. Every day, he would bring Lu Yi to eat and drink with the two sisters, chat and wander around the Blood Evil Island with the two sisters. So boring. Bai Xiaoshuang felt bored after only 2 days. The Blood Evil Island was only the size of an asshole. What fun could there be? The two sisters had been to all the good places of the Thousand Island Lake. Of course, they didn't like it. Bai Qiushua was fine. She was born to be quiet. She would read when she had nothing to do. Bai Xiaoshuang, on the other hand, could not sit still. She saw Luli sitting on the side and suddenly asked, "Luli, do you know how to play chess?" "Chess." Luli thought about it and said, "I know a little, but not very well. My skills are limited." Come on, come on." Bai Xiaoshuang seemed to have found some fun. She took out the chessboard and chess pieces from her interspatial ring and waved to Luli. "Luli, come and play chess with me." Luli touched his nose. He didn't like chess, but Lu Ling did. She would ask him to play when she had nothing to do. Lu Ling's legs were weak, so she rarely went out of the tribe. Luli would play chess with her to relieve boredom. He didn't think he was good at chess because he was often defeated by Lu Ling. He never won. Therefore, he didn't want to play. Nobody liked to be abused. But he was the host, and Bai Xiaoshuang was bored. He didn't have much to say. He had to sit down. First, they played first. Luli made the first move. He randomly threw a piece to the middle. Bai Xiaoshuang looked at him with disdain because Luli had chosen the heaven's origin position in the middle. In chess, the corners were the easiest to occupy. The edges were at the back, and the edges were at the back. Luli had chosen the center. He didn't know how to play at all. Bai Xiaoshuang didn't feel any sense of achievement bullying a rookie like him. Bai Qiushua threw them a casual look, smiled, and went back to her book. Bai Xiaoshuang made the move casually and quickly. Luli was fast as well, as if he was dealing with Bai Xiaoshuang casually. Soon, they had occupied more than half of the chessboard. Suddenly, Bai Xiaoshuang slowed down. She realized that Luli had taken many pieces. Before she knew it, she had fallen into a disadvantageous position. She looked at Luli in surprise, trying to figure out if he was doing this on purpose or it was just a coincidence. But Luli's expression was calm. Nothing could be seen on his face. Soon, the result was out. Bai Xiaoshuang had lost, and it was a crushing defeat. Again, I was too careless. This time, I will make you throw away your armor." Bai Xiaoshuang shouted. Luli smiled and went on. He had made up his mind about Bai Xiaoshuang's chess skills. She was weaker than him, much weaker. Bai Qiushua heard Bai Xiaoshuang's voice and looked over with surprise. After they made their moves, Bai Qiushua suddenly put down her book and began to watch the game carefully. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Bai Xiaoshuang had lost again. She was so angry that her eyes were bulging. She shouted again. "Luli, you are so lucky. Shuanger, forget it. Don't embarrass yourself with your skills," Bai Qiushua suddenly said. She looked at Luli and said seriously, "Luli, you are good at chess. Let me have a try." "Okay, sister, You must help me vent my anger. Bai Xiaoshuang knew she was not good at chess, but Bai Qiushue was famous for her talent. Of the entire Thousand Island Lake, there was only one person that could beat Bai Qiushue in chess, the old man of Heaven Prison. Even Madame Yin was not a match for Bai Qiushue. Bai Qiushue walked over and replaced Bai Xiaoshuang. This time, Lu Li slowed down. He would think for a long time after each move. At first, Bai Qiushue was relaxed, but it was the same later on. Her eyebrows were knitted together, and she could not make a move. Every time she made a move, she would think for a long time. Bai Xiaoshuang looked at the board and then at Bai Qiushue, who hadn't made a move for a long time. She suddenly had a bad feeling. Could the second most powerful player of the Thousand Island Lake lose to Lu Li? Lu Li, a bumpkin from the countryside, could beat Bai Qiushue, who had been immersed in chess for more than 10 years? Chapter 231. Okay, I have lost this game. Lu Li is better than me. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Bai Qiushue put down the piece and said bitterly. She looked at Lu Li and his calm face. Suddenly, she felt she couldn't understand Lu Li. Wow, Bai Xiaoshuang's eyes were wide open. She stared at Lu Li as if she didn't know him at all. She circled around Lu Li and exclaimed, Lu Li, I didn't know that you were a wolf in sheep's clothing. You defeated my sister. That is unbelievable. Lu Li was confused. He touched his eyebrows in embarrassment. He didn't think it was a big deal that he could beat Bai Qiushue because he felt her skills were not so good. She was even weaker than him. He had always thought his skills were poor. He had been playing with her for so many years, and he never won once. If he was not good, then Bai Qiushue must not be good either. Was it worth making such a fuss about him beating her? Seeing Lu Li's confused expression, Bai Xiaoshuang explained, Lu Li, do you know how good my sister is at chess? Of the entire Thousand Island Lake, she is only second to our forefather. She is recognized as the number 2 of the Thousand Island Lake. My grandpa, she, and my aunt are no match for her. Now, I can give you the title of number 2 of the Thousand Island Lake. If you can beat our forefather, you will be the number 1. Oh, Lu Li still didn't feel anything special. Instead, he wondered why people at the Thousand Island Lake were so bad at chess. How could he be the number 2 at the Thousand Island Lake? Bai Qiushue didn't mind. She asked with curiosity, Lu Li, who is your master? Who taught you how to play chess? Lu Li answered honestly, my sister taught me. I'm terrible at chess, and I've never won against my sister even once since I was young. I think even if I were 10 times better, I would still be no match for her. Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang were moved. Lu Li's words were sincere and didn't seem like he was exaggerating. So, Lu Li's sister's chess skills were superb? So, he was better than the old man of Heaven Prison? The old man of Heaven Prison had been playing chess for more than 1,000 years. He even learned profound meanings from the game. As far as Bai Qiushue knew, the old man of Heaven Prison should be the number 1 at chess at the Northern Desert. Bai Qiushue asked with excitement, Lu Li, where is your sister? If your sister is really that powerful, I'll get someone to bring her here immediately. Old Ancestor might take her as a disciple and teach her all his skills. The light in Lu Li's eyes dimmed down. He looked awful. He sighed and said, You cannot get her. She is not at the Northern Desert anymore. She was taken to the Sian Plains by force. Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang looked at each other and thought of something. The two of them once read the information about Lu Li. They remembered it at once. Lu Li's sister seemed to be of fire phoenix birth. She was taken away by the palace of goddess. The Yu family was disgraced because of this. Lu Li, I am sorry, Bai Qiushue said apologetically. Lu Li waved his hand and looked to the southeast. His eyes glowed, and his expressions became determined. He said in a low voice, It's okay. I will get my sister back. If the palace of goddess tries to stop me, I will raise the palace of goddess to the ground. I will kill all the gods and Buddhas that stand in my way. Looking at Lu Li's glowing eyes and hearing his increasingly determined words, Bai Qiushue's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly felt envious of Lu Li's sister. She followed Lu Li's gaze and said in a low voice, Lu Li, Your sister must be a wonderful woman, right? Yes. Luli nodded and said, To me, she is the most perfect woman in the world. She is beautiful, no less than you. She has a good temper. She never loses her temper. Even when the enemies are in front of her, she will still smile. She is resourceful, the smartest woman I have ever seen. She has suffered a lot since she was little and suffered a lot. But she never cried, never shed a tear. She was almost raped. In the end, she cut off her thigh and ate it raw to scare off the 3 bastards. She had no ability to fight. She stayed in the mountains for a couple of days and then crawled out. When she came back, she didn't say anything. Instead, she smiled at me and comforted me. I owe her so much. I swore that when I find her, I will never let her suffer again. Anyone that dares to bully her must do it over my dead body. What? The 2 sisters were moved again. An image of a beautiful woman appeared in their minds. It was as if she was standing in front of them and smiling at them. The 2 sisters were blessed by the heavens, and they had lofty aspirations. But at this moment, they felt ashamed of their inferiority in front of Lu Ling. What a beautiful woman she is. Bai Qiuxue exclaimed to herself. Then she looked to Lu Li, only to see the veins on his face bulging. There were tears in his eyes, and he was clenching his fists. She was shocked again. A man would not shed tears easily. A man like Lu Li, who had risen up from the grassroots and had gone through many hardships, would not shed tears easily. He was not a weak young master that would be sentimental. At this moment, a man with a strong heart was shedding tears for his sister. It meant that Lu Li was a man with true feelings. He could sacrifice everything for Lu Ling. Bai Qiuxue envied Lu Ling again. She must be happy to have such a brother at the Siam Plains. Bai Qiuxue could understand why Lu Li could be so excellent with a sister like this. Bai Qiuxue said nothing more, and Lu Li said nothing. Bai Xiaoshuang was affected by the atmosphere. She lowered her head and said nothing. Whoosh! After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, a man came running from the distance. The 3 of them were alarmed. Lu Li calmed himself down. He looked at Bai Qiuxue and Bai Xiaoshuang apologetically, but said nothing. It was Lu Yi. She cupped her fists to Lu Li when she came to the front. Then she looked at Bai Qiuxue and Bai Xiaoshuang, bowed and said, Ladies, Chief Steward Bai is here. He brought an order from Madame Yen. He said, Are you done being crazy? Go back now. Bai Qiuxue and Bai Xiaoshuang looked bitter. It was time for them to go back. Otherwise, Madame Yen would really be angry. Bai Qiuxue stood up and said, Lu Li, thank you for your hospitality these days. It is time for us to go back. Okay. Lu Li nodded and said, I will see you out. Lu Li's straightforward words made Bai Qiuxue feel uncomfortable. She glanced at Lu Li and thought to herself, didn't Lu Li have any attachment? Didn't he want them to leave as soon as possible? Or were the 2 sisters not charming enough for Lu Li to fall for them? On this thought, Bai Qiuxue was a bit angry. She got up and walked towards the blood-evil fortress with Bai Xiaoshuang and the patriarch of the Bai family. She said nothing on the way. Lu Li tried to say something, but Bai Qiuxue didn't respond. Lu Li was annoyed. A woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. She was fine just now. At the dock, Bai Qiuxue asked Bai Xiaoshuang to take out the purple gold chariot. The 2 sisters and the patriarch of the Bai family hopped on. Bai Qiuxue nodded to Lu, Yi, and Patriarch 7, who were seeing them off. Then she said, Lu Li, I don't think the Yu family will give up. If you have nothing else to do, you can go to the Heaven Prison City to live and cultivate. At least, it will be safer there. Okay. Lu Li nodded and said, I will think about it. Take care, Lady Qiuxue and Lady Xiaoshuang. They were about to part, but Lu Li didn't try to persuade them to stay. Bai Qiuxue put on a cold expression. She said nothing more and drove the chariot away. Looking at the chariot disappearing into the distance, Lu Li touched his head and murmured in confusion, What is wrong with Bai Qiuxue? She is not like this usually. Chapter 232. She likes me? How is that possible? Lu Li rolled his eyes. He thought it was a joke. That was a young lady of the Bai family. She was at the middle stage of the Soul Pond realm and had 7th rank bloodline. She was blessed by the heavens. How could she like a little island owner of the blood evil island? It was said that the twins were going to marry warriors of the human sovereign realm. Luli didn't have the ambition to reach the human sovereign realm. At his current speed, it would take him years to reach the eternal realm. By then, the twins would be married. A young lady of the Bai family liked him. Luli didn't dare to think about it. He shook his head and walked toward the Dragon Elephant Mountain with Hunchback Tion. As for the threat of the Yu family mentioned by Chioshua, Luli didn't take it to heart. The Yu family had just suffered a setback. Unless Yu Huashen wanted to be exterminated, he wouldn't dare to play any tricks. Luli went back to the Dragon Elephant Mountain and asked Hunchback Tion to get Patriarch 7 and the others to dig a huge grave and a small one. Then he took out the bones and the body of his 6th granduncle and buried them in a grand manner. He had his eyes on the Dragon Elephant Mountain for a long time. It was not convenient to bury the bones and the body of his 6th granduncle with the twins here. Naturally, it was time to bury them now. No one could tell whose the bones belonged to, so they had to be buried together. When the earth was covered, Luli knelt down and made an oath. He would spend his entire life to destroy the Yu family, to comfort his grandpa's soul in heaven, and to avenge his 6th granduncle. Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 were overjoyed. With Lu Li's words, there was hope to avenge the Lu family. Lu Rufeng and the others died because of the Yu family. Su Yaoyang didn't do anything after he went back to the God Down Island. Luli was not worried. If Su Chan was not an idiot, he wouldn't make trouble for Luli. After all, on the surface, the Bai family still valued Luli. Luli went to the temporary imperial residence at the Earth Dragon Island to cultivate. He ate cyan phoenix pellets like they were nothing. He cultivated day and night, try to reach the peak of the Spirit Sea realm, and then try to reach the Soul Pond realm. He had already reached the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm. He ate cyan phoenix pellets like they were nothing. Maybe in 2 months at most, he could reach the peak of the Spirit Sea realm. The Lu family had been busy lately. Patriarch 7 and Lu Yi could tell that the Lu family could not do without Lu Li. Without Lu Li, the Blood Evil Island would be destroyed. This was not a good thing for a family or a force. They could not repeat the mistakes of the Wuling County. The Lu family still needed to train more powerful warriors so that the Lu family could survive in case Lu Li was gone. Lu Yi was worried. Lu Li was rising too fast, and so was his cultivation speed. She was afraid that Lu Li would leave the Blood Evil Island soon and go to the Cyan Plains to look for Lu Ling. Therefore, she must plan ahead. Hunchback Tion had made a breakthrough. The Blood Evil Island didn't need to store Xian crystals for Hunchback Tion. Therefore, Lu Yi and Hunchback Tion started to splurge on Xian crystals. They bought many top-level pellets and mystical grasses for the disciples of the Lu family to break through to the next realm. Needless to say, the profound martial realm could be cultivated as long as there was a large amount of medicinal pellets. The Divine Sea realm could be cultivated with a large amount of spirit herbs to help condense the Divine Sea. It was actually easy to break through. Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 were going to train a batch of warriors at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm with pellets first. They should be able to produce some warriors of the Soul Pond realm. With the improved blood from Lu Li's animal tooth pendant, the blood caterpillar grasses, netherworld roots, and fire fairy lucid Ganoderma were easy to grow. The Lu family could earn Xian crystals quickly, so naturally, the speed of training warriors would be fast. The Yu family really behaved themselves. They didn't do anything. The Thousand Island Lake was peaceful. Su Yaoyang didn't make any trouble, so naturally, nothing would happen at the Blood Evil Island. Time flew by. Soon, a month had passed. A guest came to the Blood Evil Island, which interrupted Lu Li's closed-door cultivation. Chief Stewardby was here. Lu Li asked Hunchback Tion to bring him back to the Dragon Elephant Mountain, and then went down to the Blood Evil Fortress to meet Chief Stewardby. Chief Stewardby was here to deliver a message from Madame Yen. She asked Lu Li if he had made up his mind. If he had made up his mind, he would go to the Bai Emperor Mountain. Lu Li's heart was weighed down. Madame Yen was giving him an ultimatum. She clearly knew that Lu Li was stalling. She didn't want to wait any longer. She wanted Lu Li to give her a definite answer. Either join the Bai family or reject the Bai family. At the Thousand Island Lake, rejecting the Bai family usually didn't end well. There was only one person at the Thousand Island Lake who could live a comfortable life after offending the Bai family, and that was Mingyu. Lu Li had some understanding of Madame Yen. The nickname of the Black Widow was not just for show. If Lu Li was beneficial to her or the Bai family, she would value Lu Li and give him whatever he wanted. Otherwise, she would turn hostile immediately, just like after the battle at the Blood Evil Island. This woman didn't care about favors or old friendships. All she cared about was the interests of the family. If Lu Li was of no use to her, Madame Yen wouldn't even look at him. If Lu Li refused, he would completely offend Madame Yen. What would the consequences be? Lu Li didn't know, but he had to keep stalling until Yi Cha and the others came out. He asked Chief Steward Bai to tell Madame Yen that he was trying to reach the Soul Pond realm, and he could do it in 3 months at most. 3 months later, he would go to the Bai Emperor Mountain to meet Madame Yen. Chief Steward Bai's expression turned awful. He left the Blood Evil Island without saying anything. Lu Li sighed. It seemed that the next 3 months would be tough. He could only hope that Madame Yen would be broad-minded and not deliberately seek revenge or pressure him. Lu Li went back to cultivate. What he worried about soon happened. Half a month later, Patriarch 7 and Lu Yi sent the mystical grasses to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. This time, they couldn't even see Chief Steward Bai. The prices of all the mystical grasses were reduced by half. The chief steward who received them didn't give any explanation. He even hinted to Patriarch 7 that if the Blood Evil Island wanted to sell the mystical grasses to other places, they could do as they pleased. According to the original agreement, the price was clearly unreasonable. Even though the chief steward of the Bai family said that the Blood Evil Island could sell the mystical grasses to other places, but did Patriarch 7 and Lu Yi dare to do so? They came back to ask for Lu Li's opinion. Lu Li had no other choice. He thought about it and asked Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 to continue to sell the mystical grasses to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. It was okay to earn less, but if they offended the Bai family completely, the consequences would be dire. After cultivating for 1.5 months, Lu Li would be able to reach the Soul Pond realm in half a month at most. Lu Yi and the others had already prepared the mystical grasses and pellets for him to reach the Soul Pond realm. Otherwise, it would be hard to get them. What Lu Li needed now was time. After 2 more months, Yi Cha and the others would come out. By then, Lu Li would have nothing to fear. He wanted stability, but things did not go as he wished. 5 days later, Su Yaoyang came with a Fate Wheel Realm Patriarch of the Su family. They delivered the latest order of the Su family to the Blood Evil Island. The Su family took back the original order of no tribute. The Blood Evil Island had to pay 100,000 Xian crystals per month. Otherwise, the God-Down Island would not recognize the relationship of the Blood Evil Island as an appendage. In other words, if the Blood Evil Island refused to pay the Xian crystals, the God-Down Island would no longer protect the Blood Evil Island. If other forces or bandits in the lake attacked the Blood Evil Island, the God-Down Island would not do anything. 100,000 Xian crystals per month would be 2 million a year. This was a heavy tribute. The other demon islands and the Black Fox Island could only pay 300,000 Xian crystals per year. The Su family must have gotten wind of it and started to add insult to injury. Here, when Lu Li got the news, he suppressed his anger and shouted. Xian crystals was not the problem. What he needed was time. Now, he could not get into conflict with the Su family. Otherwise, all kinds of accidents could happen. However, what Lu Li didn't expect was that after Su Yaoyang left with the 100,000 Xian crystals, he came back 3 days later and asked for 1 million Xian crystals. He said that there were bandits running rampant nearby. The Su family was ready to send out troops to exterminate the bandits. They needed all the forces to pay for the military expenses. Otherwise, the God-Down Island would not care if something happened. More Xian crystals. Chapter 233. He couldn't bear it any longer. Otherwise, it would probably be 50 million next time. It was not that Lu Li had no Xian crystals. The elixirs in his interspatial ring could be sold for more than 1 billion Xian crystals. But he didn't want to give them. He couldn't bear the humiliation, and he didn't want to feed the Xian crystals to the dogs. He asked Hunchback Tian to take him to the Blood Evil Island. He saw Su Yaoyang, who was sitting on the host's seat with an arrogant expression. He also saw the second patriarch of the Su family, Su Sai. Lu Li had met Su Sai once, at Su Qin's birthday banquet. Su Sai even held Lu Li's hand and walked into the Su family compound. Now that Lu Li met Su Sai, he seemed to be a different person. Su Sai sat next to Su Yaoyang, drinking tea with his head lowered. He didn't even look at Lu Li. Behind Su Yaoyang and Su Sai stood 2 more warriors at the peak of the Soul Pond realm. Looking at the situation, Lu Li suddenly realized that Su Yaoyang was not here with good intentions. Clearly, Su Yaoyang was here to pick a fight and suppress the Blood Evil Island. Besides, the Shangfang sword in Su Yaoyang's hand was not given by Su Chun, but by Madame Yin. This was because Su Chun did not dare to offend Mingyu. Although Mingyu had not appeared since the last time he left, Su Chun did not dare to take the risk. Also, when he went to the Wuling County, Su Chun would have scruples about the mysterious, powerful warrior that had been following him. For Su Chun to allow Su Yaoyang to mess around without any scruples, it was obvious that someone behind him had given him a hint. That someone must be Madame Yin. With the support of the Bai family, Su Chun had nothing to worry about. It seemed that Madame Yin was really angry, or she wanted Lu Li to suffer some hardships so that he could understand one thing. Offending the Bai family at the Thousand Island Lake would lead to a miserable ending. If he wanted to live comfortably at the Thousand Island Lake, the only way was to yield to her. Having thought it through, Lu Li walked over quietly. He cupped his fist in front of his chest and said to Su Sai, "Greetings, Lord Su." "Young Master Su, how have you been?" Su Yaoyang snorted but said nothing. Su Sai looked up at Lu Li coldly and said, "Lu Li, you are here? Have a seat." Lu Li didn't stand on ceremony. He found a place to sit down and asked, "Lord Su, what are you here for? Let's get straight to the point." Su Sai took a sip of tea, sighed and said, "Lu Li, you don't know this. The lake bandits have been running wild recently. There are 4 powerful groups of bandits. 2 of them are led by Fate Wheel Realm warriors. Recently, the Su family has suffered a great loss. We are short of all kinds of herbs and elixirs. We have no choice but to come to you to get some Xian crystals." Lu Li didn't want to hear any more nonsense. He cut to the chase. "I heard that Lord Su wants 5 million Xian crystals this time. How can our small Blood Evil Island afford it?" Island Lord Lu is too humble. Su Sai smiled lightly and said, "You spent 20 million Xian crystals at the auction house. Everyone at the Thousand Island Lake knows about this. Truth be told, according to our speculation, these lake bandits are coming for you. They want to rob the Blood Evil Island and rob you, a rich man. You're living comfortably in the rear, but our Su family is constantly losing people. Isn't this inexcusable? Coming for me?" Lu Li sneered to himself. They were coming for him. Lake bandits? Who knew which clan's martial artist was in disguise? Perhaps some of them were from the Su family? We really don't have any. Lu Li shook his head and sighed. The Blood Evil Island is so poor that we don't even have pants to wear. If Lord Su wants hundreds of thousands of Xian crystals, we can make some. But I can't get 5 million even if you kill me. It doesn't matter if you don't want to offer Xian crystals. Su Sai looked at Lu Li and said in a low voice, "If you don't want to offer money, then offer strength. The Blood Evil Island will send 10,000 warriors to suppress the bandits." Lu Li was speechless. There were less than 10,000 warriors on the Blood Evil Island. Besides, even if he sent people out to fight, only a few could come back. If he went out himself, he might be assassinated as well. Lu Li refused directly. "Lord Su, we don't have many warriors on the Blood Evil Island. All of them are of low combat abilities. They will be courting death if they go. How about we give you all our green dwarfs?" "No," Su Sai said with certainty. "Our family patriarch has given the order. All the affiliated forces must either offer Xian crystals or offer strength. Otherwise, We won't do anything if the lake bandits break into the Blood Evil Island. Then let them fight. Luli didn't want to waste any more time. He stood up and said, Lord Sue, you can send a message to those lake bandits. I will be waiting for them at the Blood Evil Island. But if they dare to set foot on the Blood Evil Island, they will be responsible for their own lives. With that said, Luli walked out in strides. Susai was pressing him so hard that he had no way out. Since he wanted to play, then he would play along with the Sue family. He would kill as many lake bandits as they could get in. It was Madame Yin who gave the order secretly. Luli was not afraid of her, since she didn't dare to do it openly. If she didn't do it openly, it meant that the Bai family wouldn't send out warriors of the Eternal Realm. Luli could still fight against some warriors of the Soul Pond Realm and some of the Fate Wheel Realm. The lake bandits wouldn't attack so fast. The ones at the beginning wouldn't be too powerful. After a few rounds, Yi Cha and the others would come out. Luli didn't want to put up with it anymore. Chapter 234. Whoosh! From the Earth Dragon Island came out some noises. One figure after another came from the distance. They were all the same. The figures in front of them were condensed and then faded away one by one. Eventually, they disappeared completely. 1, 5, 10, 15, 18. Luli was now able to condense 18 shadows, which were more than 100 feet long. If he were to walk around on the spot, he would feel there were shadows everywhere. He could not tell the real from the fake, which was quite scary. Hunchback Tion stood on the side and exclaimed to himself. The apparition Xian skill was really freaky. It was a pity that Luli didn't let him learn it. Otherwise, Hunchback Tion's fighting capacity could be enhanced. Hoi! Luli swung his mighty heaven halberd and smashed it forward. As he moved, so did all the shadows. They were doing the same thing. It looked like there were shadows of the halberd all over the sky with the sound of wind and killing intent. The fake could be passed off as the real one. Domineering, Luli kept moving and waving his halberd. Hunchback Tion was dazzled. All he could see was Lu Li and his halberd. Average warriors would be scared to the point of wetting their pants. After Susai left, Lu Li cultivated even harder. Apart from cultivating Xian energy, he would practice the apparition Xian skill outside. This Xian skill was good stuff. Not only could it enhance his fighting capacity, it could also save his life. Squeak, squeak. After a while, there came a cheerful cry from the distance. Little White ran over, dripping wet. It must have gone to play in the lake. Whoosh! Little White rushed into the crowd and flew towards one. It found Lu Li's real body at once. This beast is freaky. Hunchback Tion looked at Little White with excitement. Even he could not find Lu Li's real body, but Little White could. This beast was fast, and it had broken the fate wheel. It must be an ancient species. Lu Li put away his halberd and held Little White in his arms. The shadows around him disappeared one by one, leaving only Lu Li's real body. Lu Li saw Little White with excitement in its eyes. It had a dark red stone in its mouth and kept crying. You like this stone? Lu Li asked with doubt. Little White bit off the stone and swallowed it. It nodded its little head and its eyes were filled with intoxication, as if this was the most delicious thing in the world. Why did you eat it? I haven't gotten anyone to appraise it yet. Lu Li was speechless. Even Little White had eaten it. We're going to get more stones like this. He looked at Little White and asked, By the way, where did you get this stone? Bam Bam. Little White screamed and flew to the distance. Lu Li quickly waved a Hunchback Tion and said, Let's go. Soon, they left the island with Little White. Little White rushed into the lake. Lu Li and Hunchback Tion followed it. Little White did not go far. It swam along the island toward the bottom of the lake. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, it reached the bottom of the lake and entered a small hole. Lu Li and Hunchback Tion looked at each other. Their eyes lit up, and they followed him into the cave. After moving forward for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Little White stopped and pointed at the maroon cave wall in front of it, its little claws waving nonstop. Then, Little White waved its claws and scratched at the cave wall. Little White's claws were very sharp, and it broke the cave wall in an instant. After digging a few meters, Little White came out with a brownish-red stone. "Let's go." Luli waved his hand and said in a muffled voice. He flew back to the Earth Dragon Island with Hunchback Tion. As soon as he came out, he handed the dark red diamond-shaped crystal stone to Hunchback Tion and asked, "What kind of crystal stone is this? Do you know it?" Hunchback Tion looked at it carefully and shook his head. "No, but it is from the volcano under the Earth Dragon Island. This should be a crystal stone of fire attribute. Go and find it out." Luli waved to Hunchback Tion, who rushed towards the Blood Evil Island. There were dozens of books on mystical materials on the Dragon Elephant Mountain, which recorded all the mystical materials of the northern desert. They should be able to find it out. Luli brought Little White back to the temporary imperial residence. There were only 2 maids in the temporary imperial residence. There were no guards. Based on Luli and Hunchback Tion's abilities, the guards were useless. There were too many inhibition formations here. If a scout sneaked in, they would be noticed immediately. It had been 3 days since Susai left. It was still quiet. Patriarch 7 had sent out many scouts to hide within 30 miles of the Blood Evil Island. Any information would be reported back immediately. According to the scouts, there were often lake bandits to the east of the God-Down Island. They even attacked a third-rank island. The Sioux family army kept fighting against the lake bandits. It seemed that it was true. Luli was not worried about the first 1 or 2 rounds of attacks. Since Su-chan was ordered to warn Luli, there wouldn't be too many powerful warriors at the beginning. Luli still had time. Yi-cha and the others could come out as long as they could hold on for another 2 months. Luli was confident that he could hold on for more than 2 months, so he was not too worried. Hunchback Tion came back after cultivating for more than 2 hours. He found out the name of the dark red crystal stone that Little White dug out, Blood Flame Crystal. This was indeed a unique crystal stone in the volcano. It was not expensive, only 100 Xian crystals for one on the market. Little White liked this kind of food. Luli wouldn't hesitate even if it was 1,000 Xian crystals for one, let alone 100. Luli immediately asked Hunchback Tion to send a message to Patriarch 7 to find a way to buy some back. Now that they could not go to the God-Down Island, naturally, they could not teleport to the Heaven Prison Island. It was difficult to buy things. Patriarch 7 dared not to disobey Luli's order. He immediately asked a Patriarch of the Spirit Sea realm to sneak into the county outside the Thousand Island Lake to buy blood flame crystals. At the same time, they bought some pellets and mystical materials for storage. Luli kept on cultivating. His Spirit Sea was the size of a fist now. The Xian energy inside was surging and about to fill up the entire Spirit Sea. His Spirit Sea had been expanded to the maximum. When his Xian energy was fully cultivated, he could start to try to reach the Soul Pond realm. After cultivating quietly for 5 days, Luli suddenly opened his eyes. A smile appeared on his face. After cultivating for such a long time, he finally reached the peak of the Spirit Sea realm. The peak of the Spirit Sea realm. This was a realm that he couldn't even dream about before. Patriarch 7 and the others were at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm. Before, he could only look up to Patriarch 7 and the others. He didn't even know how many Heaven Xian pellets and Cyan Phoenix pellets he had consumed to reach the current realm. If he were at the Lu family before, even if he could become a core disciple and marry Lu Yi and become the son-in-law of the Lu family, he wouldn't have so many pellets. After a day's rest, Luli asked Patriarch 7 to bring him some pellets and mystical grasses for reaching the Soul Pond realm. He was ready to do so. Even though the lake bandits could attack at any time, Luli couldn't worry about that now. Every bit of improvement in his strength would mean a higher chance of survival. He estimated that the first few rounds of attacks would only bring some warriors of the Soul Pond realm at most. Hunchback Tion was enough. Luli told Hunchback Tion and Patriarch 7 that he would go into closed-door cultivation. If he was lucky, he could reach the Soul Pond realm in 2 or 3 days at most. He had a large number of pellets and mystical grasses to help him. Even if he couldn't make the breakthrough, his life wouldn't be in danger. Hunchback Tion, if something happens, you hold him off. Kill all the lake bandits that set foot on the Blood Evil Island. Once the fight starts, ask Lu Yi to stay here. If you can't handle it anymore, ask Lu Yi to inform me. Chapter 235. Soul Pond, Soul Pond. It was to build a pond in the soul to make the soul many times stronger. The Xianwu realm opened up the energy channels. The Spirit Sea realm condensed the Spirit Sea, which gave the warrior a foundation for cultivation. The Soul Pond realm focused on cultivating the soul. When the soul was strong, the warrior's 6 senses would be sharper and his fighting capacity would be enhanced. Before the enemy made a move, the warrior would be able to tell the trajectory of the warrior's attack. He could react in advance and win the battle easily. The body was the foundation of a warrior. Xian energy was the source of strength. But the soul was the most important thing for a warrior. When the soul was strong, the warrior's thinking ability, deduction speed, and power of understanding would be greatly enhanced, which would be of great help to the future cultivation. The Xianwu realm and the Spirit Sea realm built the foundation. The Soul Pond realm strengthened the soul, and the Fate Wheel realm extended the warrior's life. Only when the foundation was strong, the power of understanding was strong, and the life of a warrior was prolonged, could the warrior reach higher realms and change his fate. The cultivation realms were not randomly chosen. It was decided after hundreds of thousands of years that the forefathers had gone through many failures, painstaking efforts, and perfected it. The highest buildings rose from the ground. To change one's fate, one must have a good foundation. One must cultivate step by step and climb up bit by bit. Luli already knew how to reach the Soul Pond realm. He had 3 high-level pellets, the Holy Soul Pellet. One of them was worth 500,000 Xian crystals. It was a very good auxiliary pellet for reaching the Soul Pond realm. Luli could not guarantee success just because he had the Holy Soul Pellet. Patriarch 7, Patriarch 9, and Patriarch Lu all tried to reach the Soul Pond realm. Each of them consumed 1 Holy Soul Pellet, but they all failed. The older a man was, the worse his bodily functions would be, and the harder it would be for him to make the breakthrough. Luli was only 16 years old. The several patriarchs believed that Luli had a good chance of making the breakthrough, at least 80%. Luli didn't take the Holy Soul Pellet. It was not the right time yet. The first step to reach the Soul Pond realm was to build the Bridge of Spirit. The Bridge of Spirit was the bridge connecting the Spirit Sea and the Soul Pond. To build the Soul Pond, a lot of Xian energy was needed. The Soul Pond could not be built out of nothing. It could only be built with Xian energy. Without profound Xian energy, one could not build the Soul Pond. Therefore, only when one reached the peak of the Spirit Sea realm could one build the Soul Pond. The cultivation system of the northern desert had been modified and improved tens of thousands of times by the previous generations. Not a single mistake could be made. Originally, dark force could flow from the meridians to the brain, but the speed was too slow. It needed to flow through many meridians before it could reach the brain. But to build the Soul Pond, he needed to circulate his Xian energy quickly, and it had to be done in one go. That was why the ancestors thought of forging the Divine Bridge, allowing the Xian energy to reach the brain directly. The Divine Bridge was actually a special meridian, a major meridian that allowed Xian energy to reach directly into the brain. Forcefully opening a meridian in the body would cause a martial artist to suffer unbearable pain. Once they could no longer endure it, the Divine Bridge would collapse and all their previous efforts would be wasted. This was only the first step of building the Soul Pond. It was evident that it was not easy to reach the Soul Pond realm. This was the reason why many warriors were stuck at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm for many years. Luli took a high-level pellet, which was designed to relieve pain. 1 pellet was worth 100,000 Xian crystals. Ordinary warriors couldn't afford it all. Even some of the Lu family elders didn't have the right to buy it, unless they had made great contributions to the family or had great potential. With the pellet, Luli didn't have to endure the pain of his muscles being torn apart. When the animal tooth pendant glowed, Luli immediately condensed his Xian energy and began to force his muscles open to build the divine bridge. Even with the pellet and the animal tooth pendant, Luli still broke out in cold sweat due to the pain. His willpower had always been strong. Before, he could build Spirit Sea without the pellet. Therefore, this was not a big deal for him. He could handle it easily. The building of the divine bridge was slow. After all, he had to break his muscles bit by bit, which was equivalent to building a new special meridian in his body. The meridian could not collapse yet. It must be kept stable. At the very least, the soul pond must be built successfully, not to mention lasting. Hunchback Tion gave Luli a secret method to build the divine bridge. Luli had learned it a long time ago. In less than half a day, he had built half of the divine bridge. Luli took 4 of the pain-relieving pellets, which cost him 400,000 Xian crystals. The 400,000 Xian crystals was only half of the divine bridge. Later on, he still had to build the soul pond. The pain-relieving pellets would cost nearly 1,000,000 Xian crystals. In addition to the holy soul pellets, Luli would have to spend more than 1,000,000 Xian crystals for each attempt at the soul pond realm. The Xian crystals he had spent for 2 attempts was enough for him to try to reach the Fate Wheel realm. Luli was playing with Xian crystals. How could a small family do this? The pain-relieving pellets of a small family would not be of such a high level. They might not be able to afford the holy soul pellets. One attempt would cost more than 100,000 Xian crystals at most. Luli was not in need of Xian crystals. Naturally, he would not let it go to waste. He also wanted to get to the soul pond in one go. He didn't want to go through so much trouble, which would be a waste of time. More than half a day later, the divine bridge was built. It went from the Spirit Sea to the brain, which could provide endless Xian energy to support the construction of the soul pond. Phew. After making sure that the divine bridge was stable, Luli opened his eyes and breathed heavily. Then he drank some water and collapsed to the ground, exhausted. The construction of the soul pond must be done at one go. Luli needed enough physical strength and energy. He closed his eyes and planned to rest for a couple of hours. After he rested, he would build the soul pond at one go. Soon, he fell asleep. He even snored, which was rare for him. The rhythmic sound echoed in the room. Report: Luli had just fallen asleep for 2 hours when a scout rushed into the blood-evil fortress like a sharp sword. He knelt to Lu, E, and Patriarch 7 and said, "Family Patriarch, Patriarch 7. Patriarch Lu asked me to send you a message. There are 7 battleships approaching the blood-evil island. The flag on the battleships is the Black Demon Army, a famous group of lake bandits at the northwest. Their leader, Emo Shi, is at the peak of the Soul Pond realm. The Black Demon Army has 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm and more than 40 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. Family Patriarch, Patriarch 7, please be prepared." Lu, E, and Patriarch 7 looked at each other. They didn't panic too much. The enemies came later than they had expected. The first batch of enemies was weaker than they had imagined. Ask Patriarch Lu to keep searching and report back. Lu, E waved her hand and ordered. During this time, Lu, E had matured a lot. She had the demeanor of a general. Maybe she had been influenced by Lu Li for a long time. Lu Yi's expressions didn't change much after she heard the news. Lu Yi's fighting capacity had been improved. She had reached the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Of course, it was not enough, but nobody underestimated her. Behind her was Lu Li. "Brother 9, prepare for battle," Patriarch 7 shouted. Soon, Patriarch 9's voice came from outside. Troops and powerful warriors were mobilized and acted according to the plan they had discussed. For the past couple of days, Lu, E, Patriarch 7, Patriarch 9, and the other patriarchs had discussed for a long time. They had made various plans and strategies. Lu Li was the master of the Blood Evil Island. Now that he had given the order to fight, Patriarch 7 and the others would not think too much about the consequences. They would fight a few battles first. "Family Patriarch, I will take care of things here. You go to the Earth Dragon Island." Patriarch 7 stood up. and said to Lu Yi. Lu Yi nodded and walked out. She would go to the Earth Dragon Island in exchange for Hunchback Tian. Without Hunchback Tian, it would be difficult to suppress warriors of the Soul Pond realm of the Black Demon Army. Chapter 236. There were not many warriors of the Blood Evil Island, only 6,000. At the beginning, many of these 6,000 warriors had not even reached the Xianwu realm. With the cultivation of countless resources, the number of warriors of the Blood Evil Island had increased at a horrifying speed. There were more than 3,000 warriors at the peak of the Xianwu realm, nearly 100 warriors at the Spirit Sea realm, and 12 warriors at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm. After the battle at the Blood Evil Island, there were only a few warriors of the Spirit Sea realm left in the Lu family. It was all thanks to Lu Li that they could cultivate so many powerful warriors in such a short time. Without animal teeth, there would be no high-quality blood caterpillar grass, netherworld roots, and fire fairy ganoderma, and there would be no large amount of mystic crystals. After occupying the Blood Evil Island, the Lu family had made at least tens of millions of Xian crystals. Almost all of them were spent. That was why so many warriors were produced. It was a pity that no warrior of the Soul Pond realm could be found. It was evident how difficult it was to cultivate at the Soul Pond realm. Of course, some of these warriors at the Spirit Sea realm came because they heard of Su Ping's fame. Lu Li's reputation was so resounding that many wandering warriors were attracted to seek shelter. Even though there were no warriors of the Soul Pond realm, the Lu family had 20 green dwarfs. Last time when Lu Li took 8 green dwarfs to the small world, Patriarch 7 bought some more. In the end, the number of green dwarfs was limited to 20. The green dwarfs could be compared to warriors of the Soul Pond realm. They were not afraid of death, and their joint attacks were ferocious. Report, the Black Demon Army is 60 miles away. Report, the Black Demon Army is 30 miles away. Report, the Black Demon Army will arrive at the pier in the time it takes for 2 incense sticks to burn. One message after another came in. The entire Blood Evil Island was in a state of war preparation. All the civilians were gathered near the Blood Evil Fortress. Apart from the 7th Elder and Elder Lu, the other 10 experts at the peak of the Divine Sea realm led their respective teams to hide and wait for the Black Demon Army to come ashore. The Black Demon Army was indeed a group of lake bandits. They were the largest one at the northwest of the Thousand Island Lake, and they were somewhat famous. No one knew where the encampment of the Black Demon Army was. This army would appear from time to time like ghosts. They only robbed and rarely killed, so their reputation was not too bad. The Black Demon Army never robbed anyone from the Su family or the Sunset Island. They only robbed small forces and rarely robbed third-class islands. Thus, even though the Su clan would occasionally send out troops to suppress the bandits, they would only chase them for a short distance before the bandits would scatter and flee. In fact, many people guessed that the Black Demon Army was actually a secret force of the Su family. Otherwise, it would be too easy for the Su family to exterminate the lake bandits. Sending a Fate Wheel Realm warrior to their base could destroy them in an instant. This time, the Black Demon Army's attack indirectly proved that the lake bandits were indeed controlled by the Su clan. Even if they weren't from the Su clan, they must be secretly related to the Su clan. Lu Yi had secretly gone to the Earth Dragon Island, and Hunchback Tian had arrived at the Blood Evil Fortress. Patriarch 7 had calmed down and became calm and unruffled in his command. After the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, 7 huge battleships arrived at the dock of the Blood Evil Island. All the battleships were packed with warriors. There were at least thousands of them. Every warship had a huge golden flag with the words Black Devil written on it. The Black Devil Island didn't attack immediately. Instead, they sent a messenger to deliver a letter. There were some messy words written on it. Emo Shi, leader of the Black Demon Army, wants to see Lu Li and borrow 1 million Xian crystals. Patriarch 7 sent a reply in a polite tone. Lu Li was cultivating and wouldn't see any guests. As for the loan of Xian crystals, Patriarch 7 said that the island had been spending a lot of money recently, so he couldn't lend any. She sent another letter saying that the Black Demon Army was tired and wanted to take a rest at the Blood Evil Island. Before the letter was delivered to Patriarch 7, the Black Demon Army had gone ashore and marched towards the Blood Evil Fortress in strides. The first batch consisted of 1,000 warriors. They swaggered towards the Blood Evil Fortress. Activate the Inhibition Formation. Patriarch 9 asked someone to activate the Inhibition Formation without waiting for Patriarch 7's order. The Inhibition Formation was built by Shuecho and the others. Thick smoke billowed on the road. It was filled with poisonous fog. Many people would be poisoned to death if they forced their way in. Go in from both sides and cut down trees. The leader of the Soul Pond realm ordered. The 1,000 warriors split into 2 teams and went into the woods on the left and right respectively. At the same time, they took out their weapons and started to cut down trees to clear a path. Swish, swish, when they cleared a path and all entered the woods, white fog suddenly spread out. Hunchback Tion helped build many inhibition formations after he joined the Blood Evil Island. Now, the inhibition formation was working. Go-In, the leader of the Soul Pond realm, made up his mind and ordered. Teams after teams of warriors entered the misty area and moved forward carefully. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ballista after ballista filled the sky, piercing through a large group of people. What was more, the crossbows were still shooting. Warriors of the Black Demon Army were dying even though they took out their shields to defend. Boom! A small thunderbolt struck down. A warrior of the Spirit Sea realm was burnt black. He was badly wounded. A warrior of the Black Demon Army on the right was pierced through by a spike from the ground. He screamed and died a violent death. There were too many inhibition formations in the 2 woods. 2 teams of 500 warriors wanted to go through the woods and reach the Blood Evil Fortress. At most, only dozens would survive, report. She came ashore from the south with more than 1,000 warriors. Another warrior of the Soul Pond realm came ashore from the north with 1,000 warriors. Patriarch 7 was in charge of the Blood Evil Fortress. Patriarch Lu was in charge of collecting information. Many scouts would send information over at any time. Patriarch 7 was not surprised when he received the information. The 1,000 warriors at the front were obviously distracting. Patriarch 7 didn't care about the 1,000 warriors at all. Patriarch 7 didn't send Hunchback Tion out after he got the information. He just waved his hand and said, "Stick to the original plan." The thousands of warriors of the Black Demon Army were just appetizers. For the Blood Evil Island, there was no pressure. This was the first wave of lake bandits. They were probably here to test the strength of the Blood Evil Island. Soon, the battles on the 3 sides began. The inhibition formations of the Blood Evil Island were horrifying. Before the warriors of the Blood Evil Island made a move, more than half of the 3,000 warriors of the Black Demon Army had been killed or wounded. Patriarch 7 didn't need to give the order. The leading patriarchs took action one after another. They each led several green dwarfs and started to attack. Hunchback Tion finally made his move. He went to She in person. The battle had been going on for a long time. Patriarch Lu had been scouting outside the island in person. He didn't find any warriors of the Fate Wheel realm hiding. Patriarch 7 was relieved and let Hunchback Tion take action. As soon as Hunchback Tion took action, she was killed in an instant. The Black Demon Army on the other side fled in disorder. By the time Hunchback Tion arrived at the other 2 sides, the Black Demon Army on the other side had been utterly defeated and had started to retreat. The 3,000 warriors entered the island. They only fought for over 4 hours, but there were already 2,000 dead bodies. They had to retreat in defeat. The Blood Evil Island didn't suffer a great loss this time. Only hundreds died. Most of them were warriors of the Xianwu realm. However, many inhibition formations were damaged. Without supplies, it would be difficult to repair the inhibition formations. Everyone of the Blood Evil Island was excited. They held a celebration party that night. Many people drank themselves to death. The biggest lake bandits on the west side of the Thousand Island Lake were utterly defeated, which excited the warriors of the Blood Evil Island. However, Patriarch 7 and the others didn't feel too happy. They didn't even drink much, because they knew that it wouldn't be long before the real battle arrived. As they expected, at dawn, Patriarch Lu sent someone back with news. 3 groups of enemies were heading toward the Blood Evil Island from 3 directions. There were at least 10,000 of them. Patriarch Lu didn't dare to go closer to check. He estimated that there was a warrior of the Fate Wheel realm leading the team. We are in big trouble. The second group of enemies came faster than Patriarch 7 had expected. Luli should be at the critical moment of trying to reach the Soul Pond realm. If you're called out to fight, all his previous efforts would be in vain. The thing was, without Luli, could they survive the second wave of attacks? P.S. I've been on the bus for a whole day and only got home at night. I am exhausted. I stayed up until 4 o'clock and wrote 3 chapters. I really can't stand it anymore. I won't do it today. Chapter 237. Luli was at a critical moment. He had started to concentrate on building his soul pond after his sleep. The Xian energy in his spirit sea was being mobilized constantly. He was building a pond in his soul according to the method taught by Hunchback Tian. The pond was not big, but it required a lot of time and Xian energy. It was not easy to build a soul pond. One wrong move, or his soul would explode. Either he would die, or he would become a vegetable. A large amount of Xian energy entered Lu Li's mind and was compressed at the bottom of his mind. The compression was even more horrifying than the Xian power. 100 strands of Xian energy could only be compressed into 1 strand. At the same time, Luli had to nurture and integrate the golden threads of soul slowly without any mistakes. Once the golden threads of soul were broken, Luli would lose a tendon in his brain. Luli took the Holy Soul Pellet. The efficacy of the pellet had covered up all the golden threads of soul to ensure that they would not be broken. His soul was protected to the greatest extent. The soul pond had to be the size of 3 fingers. Luli had built 1/3 of it. Part of the golden threads of soul was integrated as well. With the help of the Holy Soul Pellet and other pellets, the process was going smoothly. If Patriarch 7 had sent a message to Lu Yi and she had to wake Luli up by force, all his efforts would have been in vain. The spirit bridge would collapse as well. Not to mention the waste of so many pellets. Lu Li's soul might be hurt. Finally, Patriarch 7 sent a message. But Patriarch 7 told Lu Yi that they would try their best to buy as much time as possible. When it was too late, they would release a signal detonator so that Lu Yi could wake Luli up by force. It was Luli who told them to wake Luli up. Patriarch 7 and Lu Yi now had a kind of blind trust and admiration for Luli. It seemed that as long as Luli was here, any problem could be solved and there was nothing to be afraid of. 3 groups of bandits with dozens of battleships and more than 10,000 people quietly set off towards the Blood Evil Island at dawn. Even a fool would not believe that this group of people were here as guests. Patriarch 7 thought about it and decided to buy some time. He sent someone to the place where the 3 groups of bandits were going to land and planted white flags. By the time dawn was about to break, dozens of battleships had docked. They all saw the white flags and the 3 messengers of the Blood Evil Island. The 3 messengers delivered Patriarch 7's letter with fear. Patriarch 7 asked for peace on behalf of Lu Li. As long as they didn't attack the Blood Evil Island, the Blood Evil Island could give the 3 parties 10 million Xian crystals. The 3 forces began to consider. If they could get the Xian crystals without starting a war, no one wanted to start a war. Besides, it wouldn't be too late to start the war after getting 10 million Xian crystals. There was no limit to human greed. The leaders of the 3 parties immediately sent letters. One party offered 80 million Xian crystals, and the other 2 parties offered 50 million Xian crystals. They want to make a fortune first. Of course, the 7th Patriarch would not give him a single mysterious crystal. What he wanted was to stall for time. He waited for a while and asked the messenger to bargain. The Blood Evil Island raised the price to 20 million. The 3 forces were tempted. The Blood Evil Island was indeed rich. They increased the price by 10 million at once. The 3 forces were lake bandits indeed. but they were not from the northwest of the Thousand Island Lake. Someone must have invited them to come here. The bargaining continued. All three forces reduced the price by 10 million and then waited for the Blood Evil Island to bargain. If the Blood Evil Island increased the price by another 10 million Xian crystals, the three forces would call a truce until the 30 million Xian crystals were in their hands. However, this time, Patriarch 7 didn't bargain. The messenger didn't show up either. After 2 hours, when the sun was high up in the sky and the three forces were getting impatient, the messenger of the Blood Evil Island finally came out. The Blood Evil Island was willing to offer 30 million Xian crystals at most. Besides, it would take half a day for the 30 million Xian crystals to be delivered to the three forces. They didn't have so many ready-made Xian crystals, so they had to go to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce to get them. Deal. Half a day was nothing. It was daylight anyway. They couldn't sneak up on the Blood Evil Island anymore. This time, the Sugar Daddy invited them here to teach the Blood Evil Island a lesson. It wouldn't be too late to teach them a lesson after they got the Xian crystals. Okay. Patriarch 7 was overjoyed when he got the news. Luli should be ready in half a day. He pretended to send someone to the God-Down Island to get the Xian crystals so that the three forces could be patient. He also sent many mystical fruits and food to the warriors of the three forces so that they could enjoy the food first. Dozens of battleships surrounded the Blood Evil Island. Not even a mosquito could get out. The leaders of the three forces waited patiently for the 30 million Xian crystals to be delivered. Why aren't they attacking? There was another battleship in the lake area dozens of miles away from the Blood Evil Island. Su Yaoyong and Su Sai were sitting in the cabin. They didn't hear anything from the Blood Evil Island, so they were confused. Someone go and have a look. After a while, Su Sai waved his hand. A scout dived into the lake and went over. Lulu was right. The Su family had secretly planned this operation with the Shangfang sword. Madame Yin hinted to Su Chun to teach Luli a lesson so that he would yield to her. Su Chun felt humiliated when Su Yaoyong was thrown into the lake by Luli. Since Madame Yin had conveyed her message, Su Chun naturally wanted Luli to suffer. He wanted Luli to know that the northwest side of the Thousand Island Lake was his territory, not Luli's. As a matter of fact, lake bandits were formed under the indulgence of the overlords. On many occasions, when it was inconvenient for the overlords to show themselves, the lake bandits would have to do it. Otherwise, given Su Chen's means, the Dark Demon Army would have been wiped out. The lake bandits that came this time were all under the control of the major families. Madame Yin sent out her message. All the lake bandits at the north side of the Thousand Island Lake gathered here just to teach Luli a lesson. Actually, there was another purpose. The Bai family had been interested in the mysterious, powerful warrior following Luli. This time, they sent many top scouts to hide nearby. They wanted to see if the mysterious, powerful warrior that helped Luli at the Heaven Martial Kingdom would show up. They want to know who this mysterious, powerful warrior was. Idiot! When the scouts of the Su family came back with the information, Su Sai swore. Clearly, they were stalling for time. Luli would never compromise. Even if he had to, he would not do so to the lake bandits. Su Yaoyong was smart. He figured it out at once. He shouted, sent a message to Whitebeard. Tell them to attack immediately. The Blood Evil Island is stalling for time. The scouts went to deliver the message. However, the reply they got after a while made Su Yaoyong and Su Sai mad. The three legions of lake bandits didn't listen to them at all. They found excuses to evade. The three legions of lake bandits were invited from outside and had nothing to do with the Su family. Let's go. Su Yaoyong was enraged. He asked someone to steer the battleship forward. He didn't know why Luli was stalling, but there must be some tricks. Su Yaoyong had to use his identity as the young master of the Su family to pressure Luli. On top of that, Su Sai was here. The lake bandits must have some scruples. Su Yaoyong and Su Sai both put on disguise. They could not show themselves in public. The battleship arrived at the Blood Evil Island. Su Yaoyong and Su Sai sneaked into a luxurious chariot. They saw a strong man with a white beard. He was the most powerful of the three gangs of lake bandits, Whitebeard. Now that the young master of the Sioux family and second patriarch were here, Whitebeard had no excuse to evade. Before they came, their superiors told them to listen to the Sioux family. Whitebeard had to give the order to attack. Chapter 238. Fight. Patriarch 7 sighed helplessly when he got the news. He had thought he could stall for half a day, but the enemy had already launched an attack. He made up his mind to stop Lu Yi from asking Lu Li to come out and gave the order to fight to the death. This time, 3 armies of bandits came. Patriarch Lu had a rough idea. There was only one warrior of the Fate Wheel realm. The leaders of the other 2 armies were all at the Soul Pond realm. There were many inhibition formations on the island which could hold on for some time. Hunchback Tion and the 20 green dwarfs were a force to be reckoned with. Even though it would be difficult to win, they could hold on for some time. Hunchback Tion had made a move. If Patriarch Lu didn't, it would be hard to hold on. Patriarch Lu went to one direction, ready to kill all the warriors of the Soul Pond realm there, and then help the other 2 sides. Patriarch 9 and the other patriarchs split up. They took the 20 green dwarfs with them, ready to fight with their lives. What surprised Patriarch 7 was that the 3 armies of bandits didn't go all out. They only sent out more than 1,000 warriors each. There were not many powerful warriors either. There were only 2 or 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm leading the teams. In this way, things would be much easier. Hunchback Tion suppressed the team leader of the Soul Pond realm and killed him. Then, Hunchback Tion used his fate wheel to crush hundreds of warriors to death. The rest were defeated. The other 2 sides successfully defended against the 2 armies with the help of inhibition formations and green dwarfs. Patriarch 7 also sent out a message to not fight back too fiercely and to try to stall for time. Hunchback Tion didn't make any more moves. The fight was in a stalemate. Report: there are too many inhibition formations on the Blood Evil Island. It is difficult for our warriors to move forward. We have suffered heavy casualties. Report: the Blood Evil Island sent out 30 green dwarfs. Our second commander is fighting with his life on the line. He has killed 15 green dwarfs and 12 warriors of the Soul Pond realm. But there are still many powerful warriors on the other side. It is difficult for us to attack. We have lost more than 3,000 warriors. Report: third commander is asking for reinforcements. The Blood Evil Island sent out another 40 green dwarfs. We have lost more than 5,000 warriors. More and more messages were sent to Whitebeard. Su Sai and Su Yaoyang felt pain in their balls. The Blood Evil Island didn't have one warrior of the Soul Pond realm. They only had 20 green dwarfs at most. According to the report, Whitebeard had killed dozens of green dwarfs and more than a dozen warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Young Master Su, Elder Su, Whitebeard, on the other hand, had a sad look on his face. He said to the 2 of them, "This time, the reward for coming here is only 10 million Shin crystals." Now the enemy is so strong, and we have suffered heavy casualties. I'm afraid that these 10 million Shin crystals are not even enough to compensate the deceased. If we continue to fight, I'm afraid that the morale of the soldiers will be completely destroyed. Oomph. Su Yaoyang snorted. Whitebeard's skin was thicker than the city wall. It was obvious that he wanted Shin crystals. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent anyone. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Su Sai said in a deep voice, "We can understand Boss Bai's difficulties. How about this? I'll make the decision on behalf of the Patriarch and give you 5 million Shin crystals as military expenses. Boss Bai, let all our brothers move out. Take down the Blood Evil Island and capture Lu Li alive. You will be rewarded handsomely." 5 million? Whitebeard's snow-white beard trembled. There was a trace of disdain in his eyes. He casually waved his hand and said, "Someone, send my order. Lord 4 has given us the resettlement fee. Let's work harder and take down the Blood Evil Island." Seeing that Whitebeard didn't do anything himself, Su Yaoyang looked at him coldly and said, "Boss Bai, if you go in person, we can have fewer casualties." Whitebeard was at the Fate Wheel realm and at the middle stage. If he were to take action, he could suppress Hunchback Tion in an instant and break into the Blood Evil Fortress. No need. Whitebeard waved his hand and said, Young master, you must have faith in us. These useless people of the Blood Evil Island are no match for us. We can take them down easily. Just wait for my news. In less than 1 day, you two can go to the Blood Evil Island for tea. One day, Su Sai and Su Yaoyang looked at each other. A trace of anger flashed in the depth of their eyes. Clearly, Whitebeard didn't want to give them enough Xian crystals, so he wouldn't go all out. If they dilly-dallied like this, they would have to fight for several days. What would happen by then? No one knew. It was just that Su Sai and Su Yaoyang didn't urge Whitebeard anymore. Whitebeard was stubborn unless the Su family offered more Xian crystals. Judging by Whitebeard's greedy behavior, this hungry wolf would not be satisfied without tens of millions of Xian crystals. As soon as Whitebeard gave the order, the 3 corps of bandits indeed sent out many warriors. But the previous attacks were fierce. As soon as Whitebeard gave the order, all the bandits started to pretend to attack. They would fight for a while and then retreat. Then they would attack again and then retreat to rest. Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 were delighted to hear the news. They cooperated with the bandits to put on a show. One moment they would shout and the next moment they would stop. It was as if the two sides were practicing. After dark, the 3 corps all retreated. They claimed that they were tired after a day of fighting. They had suffered heavy casualties and needed a rest. The reports were getting more and more exaggerated. According to the reports, the Lake Bandits had suffered more than tens of thousands of casualties. More than 100,000 warriors of the Blood Evil Island were killed, and 1,000 of them were at the Soul Pond realm. Bandits would always be bandits. Su Sai and Su Yaoyang gnashed their teeth in hatred. But what could they do? They couldn't keep adding more Xian crystals. What if Whitebeard was still not satisfied after they gave him tens of millions, or even 100 million? Su Sai left the battleship after some thoughts. He secretly sent a message to Su Chun and then to the family that controlled Whitebeard. He asked that family to come and suppress Whitebeard. Otherwise, it would take them 10 days or even half a month to conquer the Blood Evil Island. A day had passed, but Luli still hadn't reached the Soul Pond realm. He had built his Soul Pond, but the golden threads of the soul were not integrated. This was the most critical moment. As long as he could integrate all the golden threads of the soul into his Soul Pond would be stabilized and Luli could reach the Soul Pond realm. Patriarch 7 didn't interrupt him. Whitebeard's characteristics as a bandit had given Luli time. Unfortunately, Luli ran into a problem. This was because he discovered that there were a few golden soul threads that he couldn't fuse. The rest of the golden soul threads were easily fused except for these few. Is the method Hunchback Tian gave me wrong? Luli was having a headache. Theoretically speaking, this shouldn't happen. Hunchback Tian wouldn't dare to harm him. The method he gave him to cultivate his soul pond should be fine. If that's the case, then where did the problem lie? Luli couldn't figure it out. He had to integrate the rest of the golden threads of the soul first, and then deal with the few golden threads of the soul later. At midnight, all the golden threads of the soul were integrated except for the last few. Luli struggled for 2 hours, but he still couldn't integrate them. There were only 2 explanations. Either there was something wrong with the method given by Hunchback Tian, or there was something wrong with Luli himself. Everyone's physique was different. Some could cultivate fast, some slow. Some couldn't cultivate, and some were deformed. Therefore, it was understandable that anything could happen. Luli was having a headache. He had taken 2 holy soul pellets. At this rate, he would have to take the 3rd one. What if he still couldn't succeed after he used up all 3 holy soul pellets? His soul pond might collapse, and all his previous efforts would be in vain. While Luli was having a headache, something strange happened. The animal tooth pendant suddenly glowed and heated up. It was not the kind of glow that was flickering when he was consuming pellets. Rather, it was the kind of glow and heat when he was awakening his bloodline. The animal tooth pendant was even trembling a bit. When the animal tooth pendant changed, the bloodline mark on Luli's back began to glow as well. The silver dragon started to move around, which gave Luli a bad feeling. Chapter 239. Animal Tooth Pendant. Don't do anything stupid. Luli prayed to himself. Last time when he awakened his bloodline, the animal tooth pendant was like this, glowing and trembling. What was strange was that this time, Luli wasn't enveloped by the mysterious power of the bloodline altar. Still, he couldn't move. He felt he had lost control of his body, or his soul couldn't control his body. This was a very frightening phenomenon. Losing control of one's own body? Luli thought of what happened to Yuling Shu at the Mountain of Dragon King. He was even more frightened. Could it be that there was a demon's soul hiding in the animal tooth pendant, and that demon was trying to take over his body and destroy his soul? No matter how frightened Luli was, he couldn't move his body. He couldn't do anything. He could only feel the animal tooth pendant getting hotter and brighter. Eventually, he felt the skin on his chest was burnt through just like last time. Then something strange got into his body. This time, it was clearer. Luli could faintly tell that there was a shadow of a silver dragon roaring in his bloodline and rushing towards his soul pond. Sure enough, Luli could faintly see a small silver dragon roaring into his mind and then dashing into his soul pond. At that moment, the soul pond glowed. The few golden threads of soul that couldn't be integrated were integrated at once. No. With all the golden threads of soul integrated, Luli's soul pond was where his soul resided. Now, a shadow of a silver dragon had entered his soul, and he couldn't move his body. What did it mean? It meant that his body might be under the control of the silver dragon. Usually the bloodline mark was on the neck, but it was on his back. Others only had one bloodline skill, but he had two. Luli was even more frightened on this thought. It would be better if he could do something. But apart from thinking, he couldn't do anything. After the shadow of the little silver dragon entered the soul pond, it did not move at all. Luli's soul pond kept glowing. He couldn't move at all. He had to wait for the soul pond to calm down, for him to regain control of his body, or for his soul to perish completely. It was already dawn outside. Whitebeard slept comfortably. After getting up, he asked someone to go down to the lake to catch fish and stew soup. Su Sai and Su Yaoyong woke up early. Whitebeard sent a few bowls of delicious fish soup. How can the two of them drink it? He didn't dare to go out of the cabin and just asked someone to urge Whitebeard to see them. It was late in the morning when Whitebeard showed up. Under the urging of Su Sai and Su Yaoyong, Whitebeard once again sent people to attack the Blood Evil Island. But looking at the way the army was marching, it would probably be the same as yesterday, and there would be no results after shouting and killing for an entire morning. The bandits on the three sides all retreated. This time, the number of martial artists that died on both sides did not exceed 10. Many lake bandits were setting up pots on the beach, preparing to cook. Su Sai and Su Yaoyong were so angry that they were about to explode, but there was nothing they could do. After the meal, a mysterious person quietly boarded the ship. It was Ding Gue. The Ding family of the Black Tooth Island was the overlord at the north of the Thousand Island Lake. Whitebeard and the others were controlled by the Ding family. Ding Gue was the grand elder of the Ding clan. Since he had personally come, Whitebeard naturally did not dare to act recklessly. Attack now. We must take down the Blood Evil Island by today. Ding Gue gave the order. Whitebeard patted his chest and said, Lord Gue, don't worry. We can spend the night at the Blood Evil Fortress. If we cannot take down the Blood Evil Island, I will bring my head to you. Whitebeard walked out in strides and then shouted, All of you attack. Take down the Blood Evil Island before dark and send a message to the Scorpion. Tell them to attack with full force or I will crush their balls. Whitebeard was supervising in person. The lake bandits understood. They all rushed out of the battleships and gathered on the beach. Their killing intent was growing. Buzzing. Whitebeard's abdomen glowed as a two-layered fate wheel appeared. He flew up, and a saber appeared in his hand. He waved his hand and said, Attack. Okay, seeing this, Ding Gue knew he had accomplished his mission. He cupped his fist to Su Sai and Su Yaoyong, dived into the lake, and left. Before Ding Gue came, the family patriarch of the Ding family had told him not to reveal his identity. This time, the Ding family was doing Madame Yin a favor. They were not going to deal with Luli in person. Therefore, Dingue left as soon as Whitebeard came out. Charge. Soon, the other two groups of bandits made their moves. The other two groups of bandits followed Whitebeard's lead. Now that Whitebeard had given the order, they didn't dare to disobey him. They're serious. Patriarch 7 looked at Hunchback Tion after he got the news that Whitebeard was coming out. The latter sighed and said, "Send a signal and ask the island owner to come out. I cannot deal with that warrior at the middle stage of the Fate Wheel realm." Since Hunchback Tion had said so, Patriarch 7 had to throw a signal detonator into the air. The signal flare exploded in midair, emitting a deafening explosion and emitting a dazzling light. Lu Yi, who had been sitting with her legs crossed outside of Lu Li's temporary residence, got up and walked towards Lu Li's room. She pushed the door but failed. She had to make up her mind and use Xian energy to slap at the door. Boom! There was only a small inhibition formation on the door, which was smashed by Lu. Lu Yi walked into the room, looked at Lu Li, who was still sitting with his legs crossed, cupped her fists, and said, "Island owner, they cannot stand it any longer. Please come out." Lu Li didn't move, as if he didn't hear anything. Judging from his appearance, there was nothing wrong with his body. The silver dragon mark on his back was covered up by his robe, but the animal tooth pendant on his neck was gone. There was only a red string left. Lu Yi didn't know what had happened to Lu Li's body. After a while, she shouted again, "Island owner, they cannot stand it any longer. If you don't do something, the Blood Evil Island will be leveled to the ground." Still, nothing happened. Lu Yi made up her mind and pushed Lu Li. Still, Lu Li didn't open his eyes and didn't do anything. What is going on? Lu Yi was frightened. She observed Lu Li carefully and was relieved to find that he was breathing and his heartbeat was normal. She frowned. If Lu Li didn't come out, the Blood Evil Island would be massacred. Disciples of the Lu family would be wiped out. As a matter of fact, she didn't know if Lu Li could turn things around after he came out. But she believed in Lu Li out of instinct. As long as he went out, he could turn the tide. The thing was, she couldn't wake him up. After a while, Lu Yi walked out and fetched a ladle of water. She poured it on Lu Li's head. Still, the result was the same. Lu Li didn't move. He was like an old man passing away in meditation. Lu Yi didn't dare to move. She stayed by Lu Li's side anxiously. She was waiting for him to wake up or for the news that all the warriors of the Blood Evil Island were killed. Alas, Lu Li sighed to himself. He could hear Lu Yi's voice and feel that he was splashed with water. But he just couldn't control his body. He couldn't even open his eyes. It's over. Once the Blood Evil Island was breached, it would be the Earth Dragon Island's turn soon. Lu Li himself couldn't move. He couldn't enter the small world, even if he wanted to. If he couldn't wake up, he would be smashed into pieces eventually. No, I want to wake up. I want to wake up. I want to wake up. From the depth of Lu Li's soul came a strong unwillingness. He couldn't die without knowing the reason. His soul could not be taken over by that silver dragon shadow. He had to dominate his soul. Even if his body was smashed into pieces, he couldn't let the demon control him. He roared in his mind over and over again, forcing himself to wake up again and again. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, his eyelids really opened. Okay. Chapter 240. Plop. Lu Yi was so shocked by Lu Li's roar that she fell to the ground. Half of her thigh was exposed, and her eardrums were hurting. She had no time to worry about her ears or her exposure. She shouted with joy, "Island owner, you are finally awake. Go to the Blood Evil Island now. If you don't, everyone here will die." Lu Li didn't go. Instead, he sat with his legs crossed and tried to sense the situation in his soul pond. He was afraid that what happened just now would happen again. Once he lost control of his body, he would be courting death if he went. It was quiet in his soul pond. It stopped glowing and there was no movement. Lu Li sensed for a while. The image of his soul pond appeared in his mind, which shocked him to his soul. A silver dragon mark appeared in his soul pond. It was the same as the one on his back, but much smaller. Even though it was his own feeling and he didn't see it, he was still shocked. A silver dragon pattern in his soul pond? Luli had never heard of such a strange thing. Everyone's soul pond was the same. The only difference was the size. A weird dragon mark appeared in his soul pond. It was so scary. Luli checked other parts of his body and noticed that his spirit sea was changing. Through the bridge, the soul pond was instilling a strange energy which condensed his Xian energy. This was normal. Every warrior that reached the soul pond realm would have their Xian energy transformed. They would become more condensed and powerful. When a warrior reached this realm, he could release his Xian energy externally because his Xian energy had transformed. Apart from that, there was nothing wrong. Luli opened his eyes after a while. He reached to his neck, trying to see the strange animal tooth pendant. There was nothing on the rope. The animal tooth pendant was gone. He stood up and looked around. Then he asked Lu, "Have you seen my animal tooth pendant?" "I don't know." He looked around with suspicion. She shook her head and advised again, "Luli, don't worry about the animal tooth pendant. Let's go to the Blood Evil Island now. Otherwise, everyone on the Blood Evil Island will die." "Okay." Luli checked again to make sure that the animal tooth pendant was gone. He walked out with confusion. When he was outside, he shouted, "Little White, time to work." Whoosh! Little White flew out of a room with a blood flame crystal in its mouth. This was dug out by Little White itself. Seventh Elder had sent people to buy it and had not returned yet. Little White swallowed the blood crystal in a few bites and rushed into Luli's sleeve. Luli said to Lu, "You wait here. I will go alone." "All right." He was not strong enough. She would be courting death if she went. She looked at Luli anxiously and asked, "Island owner, can you handle it? There should be no problem." Luli said lightly and rushed out of the temporary residence. He carried his mighty heaven halberd and rushed out of the island. The Earth Dragon Island was close to the Blood Evil Island. From here, one could even vaguely see the battleships anchored outside the Blood Evil Island. Very good. Coincidentally, a small warship was sailing towards them. It should be a patrol warship. Luli dived into the water and moved closer to the small battleship. When the battleship got closer, Luli leaped out of the water like a shark. He smashed his halberd at the two warriors on the deck with water droplets. There were 5 warriors on the battleship, and all of them were at the Spirit Sea realm. How could they be a match for Luli? The 2 warriors' heads were smashed open. They didn't even have time to react. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 warriors rushed out from the cabin, drew out their swords, and stabbed at Luli. Luli moved, and the deck was filled with shadows. The 3 warriors were so scared that they kept hacking at Luli. Clank, 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 Luli casually swung his halberd. The 2 warriors' weapons were smashed away, and their heads were smashed. Luli's eyes were burning with desire. He was sure of one thing. He was 100% sure that he had reached the Soul Pond realm, because he felt that his perception was much stronger. Just now, it was as if the warriors' attacks were slowed down by several times. Luli could easily judge their attack trajectories and crack their moves. "Don't move, or you will die as well." Luli stopped and pressed his halberd against the last warrior's neck. The shadows on the deck disappeared one by one. Luli didn't look at the scout at the Spirit Sea realm. He looked into the distance. The more he looked, the clearer the world became. The Soul Pond realm really had many wonderful uses. "I am Luli." Luli turned to the lake bandit, who was terrified, and said, "You are the island owner who attacked the island. I have killed many warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Killing you is no different from pinching an ant to death, so if you want to live, obediently do as I say." "Yes, yes, Lord Lu. As long as you don't kill me, I will do anything." The lake bandit was scared out of his wits. Luli was so famous that he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. "Set sail and get closer to the Blood Evil Island," Luli said coldly. He followed the man into the cabin and steered the battleship towards the Blood Evil Island. Luli kept his halberd aimed at the man. If he dared to make any strange moves, Luli would kill him immediately. "How many of you are here this time? Who is your leader? What realm are you at? How many powerful warriors are there?" Luli would look out from time to time and ask about the situation. The lake bandit told Lu Li about the situation quickly. He didn't know about Su Yaoyong and Su Sai, so he only told Lu Li about the realm of Whitebeard and the others. Good. Lu Li was relieved. He was not afraid of one warrior of the Fate Wheel realm. What he was worried about was several warriors of the Fate Wheel realm attacking him together. Even with Little White, he would still die. Soon, they reached the shore. There were more than a dozen battleships on the shore, and each one was guarded by several warriors. Lu Li didn't see any powerful warriors. They must have all entered the island. Off you go. Lu Li was a man of his word. He didn't kill the lake bandit. For him, killing one more wouldn't make any difference. He rushed out towards the other battleships. Bang! One warrior was killed in one move. The remaining warriors on the battleships were alerted. One of them shouted, "Enemy attack!" before he could finish his words. Lu Li had smashed him to death with his halberd. Many warriors flew out from the battleships and rushed towards Lu Li. Lu Li generated many shadows, which stupefied the lake bandits who were rushing over. There were no warriors of the Soul Pond realm. For Lu Li, killing them was no different than killing an ant. He could kill one with one swing of his halberd. In a time for more than a dozen breaths, dozens of warriors guarding the battlefield were killed by Lu Li. Bodies were everywhere. Many were badly mutilated by Lu Li's halberd. It was a horrible sight. Whoosh! Lu Li rushed towards the center of the island without any pause, leaving behind the lake bandit that he was holding hostage. The lake bandit was scared out of his wits by Lu Li's cruel means. He even forgot to run. Luckily, Lu Li kept his word and didn't kill him. He truly lives up to his reputation. The lake bandit thought of this. Lu Li was famous at the Thousand Island Lake. All the low-level lake bandits knew about Lu Li's deeds. Many people had thought that Lu Li got his fame by luck. Only now did the lake bandit understand that no one could make a name for themselves by luck. Without power, luck was useless. Let's go. Chapter 241. The place where Lu Li landed was not where Whitebeard was, but where the Scorpion Legion was. He ran along the route of the lake bandits. There were obvious marching routes. Many trees were cut down, and some inhibition formations were damaged. The Blood Evil Island was not big. With Lu Li's current speed, he could cross it in an hour at most if there were no inhibition formations. He didn't use his Burning Blood skill. After he reached the Soul Pond realm, he was much faster. He believed that he could arrive at the battlefield soon. Boom, boom, boom. In the time for just 2 or 3 incense sticks to burn, there came some sounds of explosion. From the distance, Lu Li could see many Xian energy blasting at the mountains. Burning blood. Lu Li shouted and used his bloodline skill. For one thing, he wanted to see if he could still use his bloodline skill. For another, he wanted to see if the duration of the bloodline skill could be extended. When he first awakened his burning blood skill, it could only last for the time for 1 incense stick to burn. Later, when he reached the Spirit Sea realm, it could last for an hour. Theoretically speaking, it should be extended when he reached the Soul Pond realm as well. The silver dragon mark on his back glowed, and his physical body grew stronger. A surge of strength spread through all his bones and muscles. His eyes glowed in silver light as he transformed into a dragon with a human body. Good. Lu Li was relieved that he could use his bloodline skill. There were some changes during the forging of his soul pond. There was a new dragon pattern in his soul pond, and the animal tooth pendant disappeared. But at least he could still use his burning blood skill. His combat abilities were still there, and there was nothing wrong with his body, which put his mind at ease. He rushed to a small forest nearby and asked Little White to explore the way. There were many inhibition formations in the forest. Little White led the way happily. Lu Li followed it like a poisonous snake and rushed to the center of the battlefield. The center of the battlefield was in the mountain in front of them. When Lu Li rushed out of the forest, he saw that there were people everywhere. There were at least more than 1,000 lake bandits, while there were only hundreds on the Blood Evil Island side. 2 patriarchs at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm, and several green dwarfs were struggling. Miserable. Lu Li glanced over and found many corpses on the ground. All of them were wearing armors of the Blood Evil Island. He could tell that at least more than 1,000 had died, including some commanders of the Blood Evil Island he was familiar with. 3 warriors of the Soul Pond Realm. Luli stared at the 3 warriors of the Soul Pond Realm who were attacking the green dwarfs. He leaped up at once and shouted in midair, "Die!" Luli didn't use his dragon roar skill. He just roared in rage. His voice was so loud that it resounded in an area with a radius of more than half a mile. Many warriors who were still fighting trembled. Many people looked over, only to see Lu Li's figure multiplying into 2 and then 4. In the air, there was a line of ghostly shadows, which was quite strange. Island Lord, many warriors of the Blood Evil Island were covered in blood. For them, Lu Li was the king. At this most critical moment, their king had finally appeared. This almost made them kneel down and worship him. Lu Li leaped forward for dozens of feet and then dashed into the crowd with more than a dozen shadows. His heaven-raising halberd swept forward with the force of wind and thunder. Instantly, 3 lake bandits were chopped into halves and sent flying. Bang, 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 Lu Li broke out of the encirclement at a horrifying speed. None of the warriors he encountered could survive one move from him. None of them had a whole body. He was unstoppable. The leader of this team was an old man at the peak of the Soul Pond Realm. His nickname was Scorpion. His eyes were small, but there was a vicious glare in them. Seeing that Lu Li was running towards him, Scorpion made up his mind and gave up on killing the remaining green dwarfs. He said to the other 2 warriors of the Soul Pond Realm, "Let's work together and injure Lu Li first." The order was to kill everyone of the Blood Evil Island and injure Lu Li, but not to kill him. After all, Lu Li was famous. Scorpion dared not to be careless. He had to ask the other 2 warriors of the Soul Pond Realm to attack together. There were some warriors of the Soul Pond Realm on Scorpion's side, but 2 were killed by Hunchback Tion in the first round of attack. Another 2 were killed by the sneak attack of the green dwarfs. Now, there were only 3 warriors of the Soul Pond Realm left. As far as Scorpion was concerned, the 3 of them should be enough to injure Lu Li. Clearly, Lu Li had just reached the Soul Pond Realm. How could he be a match for the 3? Roar! Unexpectedly, when the 3 of them were about 10 feet away from each other, Lu Li suddenly let out a shocking roar. It was not the one just now, but the dragon roar skill. It was as if the sky was falling down. Everyone nearby felt the world was shaking and the earth was shaking. They felt dizzy, the space was shaking, and the wind was blowing. Many people's eardrums were broken, and they were bleeding from their eyes, ears, noses, and mouths. They held their heads and rolled around on the ground, howling in pain. Scorpion and the other 2 were the same. They felt their eardrums and souls were hurting as if countless invisible needles were piercing through their eardrums and into their souls. Not only the lake bandits, but many warriors of the Blood Evil Island were affected as well. They held their heads and howled in pain. Lu Li's roar was so horrifying that no one could stand up within a radius of 300 feet. Even Lu Li himself was scared. How come a dragon roar skill was so much more powerful? When he was fighting against the warriors of the Delong tribe and the Yu family and the Bu family, he remembered clearly that the dragon roar skill could only affect warriors at the peak of the Soul Pond Realm, and the effect was minimal. Now, Scorpion was rolling on the ground with his head in his hands. Is it because of the Soul Pond? Does it have anything to do with the dragon pattern in the Soul Pond? Lu Li, remembered by Qiushua, said that this was a Xian skill of the soul category. His soul had become stronger after he built his soul pond. The strange dragon pattern in his soul pond might have something to do with the power of the dragon roar. Whoosh! Lu Li came back to his senses after a second of pause. He rushed forward and hacked with his mighty heaven halberd. He killed people as easily as slaughtering cattle and sheep. Roar! By the time Scorpion and the other 2 came back to their senses, Lu Li was already close to them. He let out another dragon roar, which made the 3 of them roll on the ground. He had killed 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm easily. The green dwarfs were not affected much. Lu Li looked to a patriarch hiding in the woods behind the green dwarfs and shouted, Are you dead? If not, control the green dwarfs to kill all the lake bandits. Leave none alive. Of course, the patriarch was still alive. Otherwise, the green dwarfs would have been out of control. But his ears were ringing and his soul was hurting. He could not hear what Luli was saying. He didn't understand what Luli meant. Soon, he came back to his senses. He controlled several green dwarfs covered in blood to start the slaughter. There were no warriors of the Soul Pond realm here. The green dwarfs could wipe them out easily. Luli ran to the distance to support the next battlefield. Island owner, it is our island owner. Island owner is here. Luli's two shouts alarmed the patriarchs of the Blood Evil Island at the other two battlefields. Only Lu-Li could make such a loud roar. They had heard about Lu-Li's dragon roar skill. The other two battlefields were much worse than Lu-Li's. Almost all the warriors of the Blood Evil Island were killed. Hunchback Tion was chased by Whitebeard. He was badly wounded in many places. One of his arms was gone. He was so miserable that he didn't look like a human anymore. Master, you are finally here. Hunchback Tion almost cried when he heard Lu-Li's roar. He thought that Lu-Li would arrive as soon as Patriarch 7 sent the signal. He didn't expect that he was delayed for the time, for several incense sticks to burn. If Lu-Li came a bit later, Hunchback Tion would have to die a heroic death. At once, Hunchback Tion controlled his fate wheel to fly towards where Lu-Li was shouting. A big and strong man with white beard was sneering behind him. As far as Whitebeard could tell, Hunchback Tion was the most powerful warrior on the island. Lu-Li? Who was he? Stupid dog. Seeing that Whitebeard was chasing after him, Hunchback Tion sneered. Lu-Li could even kill warriors at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm. Whitebeard was nothing. Young master. At the dock, Susai was worried when he heard the roar. How about we leave now? It is not safe to stay here. What are you afraid of? Su Yaoyong said carelessly. Whitebeard should be able to take Lu-Li down. Also, even if he can't, he won't have the guts to kill us. I want to see Lu-Li kneeling in front of me like a dog, wagging his tail and begging for mercy with my own eyes. P.S. We said 5 chapters, so it is. Before the meeting, they said 4 chapters a week. Then, starting from today until next Sunday, 4 chapters a day. Spend the monthly votes and make it to the new book's monthly list. Chapter 242. The Su family did get some information about the fight at the Wuling County. However, the Yu family and the Bai family hid it on purpose. Therefore, the Su family didn't get complete information. Lu-Li actually killed Yu Yang with one move of his halberd. For many people, it was ridiculous. If a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm could kill a warrior at the peak of the Fate Wheel realm, then the cultivation system of the entire world would have to be redesigned. Based on what happened, many people speculated that Yu Yang's fate wheel was not cracked by Lu-Li. Someone else must have sneakily attacked him. Yu Yang's fate wheel was destroyed, and he passed out. Lu-Li had just killed a dead tiger. People of the Su family even suspected that Yu Yang's fate wheel was cracked by a warrior of the eternal realm of the Bai family. It was just that the Bai family refused to admit it. Lu-Li was chased into the Thousand Island Lake like a wild dog a year ago. How could he know a powerful warrior of the Eternal Realm? The only one he knew was Mingyu. He never came to the Blood Evil Island again. What was more, the Bai family sent someone to investigate. Mingyu had always been at the Thousand Island Lake. When Lu-Li was fighting at the Wuling County, Mingyu even bought some mystical materials at the auction house. Many people saw it with their own eyes. Therefore, Su Yaoyong was fearless. Behind him was the Su family. Behind the Su family stood Madame Yin and the Bai family. At the Thousand Island Lake, the Bai family was the supreme king. Lu-Li didn't have the ability to kill him. Even if he did, he wouldn't have the guts. Susai couldn't force Su Yaoyong to leave. Susai thought for a while and didn't worry too much. Whitebeard was powerful. Lu-Li couldn't kill him. Island owner, inside the Blood Evil Island. Hunchback Tion kept yelling while flying fast. Whitebeard was chasing after him. Whitebeard actually had the chance to attack Hunchback Tion, but he didn't. He wanted to kill Hunchback Tion in front of Luli so that Hunchback Tion would lose all hope so that he could take down Luli easily. Hunchback Tion was fast. In the time for just a dozen breaths, he had covered more than 30 miles. He saw Luli rushing over and was overjoyed. He shouted again, "Island owner!" Luli looked to the sky. He felt guilty and lucky at the same time when he saw Hunchback Tion's miserable appearance. Luckily, he had woken up. Otherwise, Hunchback Tion and the warriors of the Blood Evil Island would have all died. Boy, his heart was burning with rage. His legs kicked the ground and his body shot up. Hunchback Tion cooperated well. He controlled the fate wheel to fly down and put Luli on it. As soon as Luli arrived, Hunchback Tion felt relieved. He stopped running and turned around to wait for Whitebeard to come closer. Ha ha ha! Before Whitebeard got close, he laughed into the sky. He looked at Luli and said, "You are Luli. Are you going to surrender yourself? Or do you want me to break all your bones and bring you back?" Luli stared at Whitebeard carefully and said coldly, You're not qualified." Two-layered fate wheel. That was the middle stage of the fate wheel realm. Luli once killed a warrior at the peak of the fate wheel realm with a three-layered fate wheel. Arrogant. Whitebeard's ferocious eyes bulged, and he sneered, "You little bastard who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I will kill hundreds of you every day. Today, I will see what a true expert is. Master, be careful." Hunchback Tion took a healing pellet and said in a low voice, "This lake bandit has a superficial understanding of a profound meaning, and he has integrated it into his fate wheel. His fighting ability is horrifying." Profound meaning? Luli didn't quite understand. He had heard about it, but he didn't have a deep understanding of it. Hunchback Tion quickly explained, "It is the truth learned from heaven and earth. Didn't you see a warrior of the noble lord realm who understood force at the cliff of purgatory? Force is a low-level, profound meaning. It is the most horrifying means of a warrior. It can move mountains, fill up seas, and destroy the world." "Oh, I see." Luli looked solemn. He had witnessed the horrifying power of force with his own eyes. This was a profound meaning of the lowest level. How powerful would the real profound meaning be? Since Whitebeard had a superficial understanding of profound meaning, he must not be underestimated. Whoosh, Whitebeard flew over. His fate wheel spun quickly. As the fate wheel spun, Whitebeard flew up in the air, which was quite strange. Swish, swish, as the fate wheel spun, the wind and clouds changed. It was getting darker and darker. Soon, an area with a radius of several miles was swallowed up by darkness. This is a superficial understanding of profound meaning. Luli was shocked, turning day and night upside down. But this was only a superficial understanding of profound meaning. How horrifying would the real profound meaning be? Luli was even more shocked when he thought of the powerful warrior with force at the cliff of purgatory. That was a profound meaning of the lowest level. It was getting darker in a speed visible to the naked eye. Luli's visibility was less than 6 feet. As for Whitebeard, Luli couldn't see him clearly. His eyesight had been enhanced after he reached the Soul Pond realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to see clearly. "Close your eyes and listen to the wind." Hunchback Tion whispered to Luli's ear. Luli closed his eyes at once. Hunchback Tion controlled his fate wheel to move around nearby in case Whitebeard would target him. Swish! With a piercing sound, a huge golden stripe broke through the darkness and spread over from the distance. The golden stripe was so fast that it reached in front of Luli and Hunchback Tion in an instant. Hunchback Tion reacted quickly. He slid his fate wheel to an arc and barely dodged the attack of the golden stripe. Luli said in a low voice, "Get closer to him." Hunchback Tion understood. The fate wheel spun around, and at the same time, Hunchback Tion released his Xian energy to fight back. Gradually, the distance between the two sides was shortened. Little White could break the fate wheel, but it had to get closer and launch a sneak attack. Otherwise, if Little White was targeted by Whitebeard, it would be killed before it could get close to the fate wheel. It was getting darker and darker. You couldn't even see your own fingers. The superficial understanding of profound meaning that Whitebeard had learned was indeed horrifying. Lu Li and Hunchback Tian couldn't see anything clearly, but Whitebeard was not affected. As time went by, Whitebeard's fighting capacity would be improved. Boom, boom, boom. Hunchback Tian's Xian energy attacks were dodged by Whitebeard without exception. The attacks landed on the mountains around, causing a series of explosions. Hills were split open, gravel rolled down, and trees were cut down. It was a mess all around. Whitebeard had been releasing his Xian energy to attack, and he shot out one strike after another. Hunchback Tian and Lu Li had a headache. As long as Whitebeard didn't leave his fate wheel, Little White could not launch a sneak attack. Go down and hit him with your fate wheel. Lu Li thought about it and decided to take the risk. Hunchback Tian nodded. The two of them flew down from the fate wheel at the same time. Hunchback Tian sped up his fate wheel and smashed it against Whitebeard after he sensed where he was. Whitebeard had two fate wheels. When they were stacked together, it would become a two-layered fate wheel, which would be more powerful. Why should Whitebeard be afraid of Hunchback Tian if he wanted to court death? Whitebeard flew down at once and controlled his fate wheel to collide with Hunchback Tian's. He believed that after 10 collisions, Hunchback Tian's mind would be seriously injured and he would pass out. Bang! Bang! Soon, there came two loud noises. Even though Lu Li could not see clearly, he could sense it by the sound of the wind. He ran on the ground for a bit and then suddenly leaped up. He let out an angry roar in midair. Roar! Lu Li released his dragon roar skill. A gust of wind sprang up around him. Space trembled and ripples spread out. The darkness was torn apart by this roar. A ray of dim light appeared in the sky. Lu Li could vaguely see two fate wheels. Little White. How could Lu Li let go of such a good chance? He waved his hand, and Little White shot out like a sharp sword. Lu Li fell down. In midair, there were many shadows as he looked down. What surprised him was that Hunchback Tian was shocked by his roar. Whitebeard's eyes were also filled with shock. The two of them stopped fighting at this moment. Die. Chapter 243. No, Whitebeard reacted quickly and found the problem at once. He glared at Little White and reacted quickly. The saber in his hand glowed, and he was about to shoot out a ray of golden silk to kill Little White. Hunchback Tian attack. Lu Li would not give Whitebeard the chance. He roared, and this roar came from the dragon Roar Divine Skill. His voice spread to an area with a radius of more than 30 miles. The entire Blood Evil Island could hear it clearly. The shout hurt Hunchback Tian's soul, but he knew this was the most critical moment. He made up his mind and waved his saber to shoot out some Xian energy. Whitebeard had no other choice but to dodge Hunchback Tian's attack, or else he would be killed right away. By the time he dodged the Xian energy, Little White had bitten a hole in his fate wheel. It was too late for Whitebeard to attack. Whoosh! Like Yu Yang, he controlled his fate wheel to fly back in fear. Unfortunately, it was too late. Little White was so fast that it destroyed the texture inside the fate wheel. The light of the fate wheel dimmed down and eventually went out of control. Poof! Whitebeard spat out some blood. His fate wheel was destroyed, so his vitality was greatly damaged. There was not a trace of blood on his face. Whoosh! Lu Li rushed over in a blur. He swung his mighty heaven halberd and cut off Whitebeard's neck. Lu Li even put Whitebeard's head into his interspatial ring. Little White, let's go! Lu Li shouted. Little White flew up. Lu Li looked at Hunchback Tian, who understood. He made up his mind and flew onto his fate wheel, taking Lu Li to the other two battlefields. Lu Li was late for the time for several incense sticks to burn. The Blood Evil Island was covered in blood. Therefore, he didn't rest for a moment. The longer he delayed, the more warriors of the Blood Evil Island would die. As expected, by the time Lu Li arrived at a nearby battlefield, there were already corpses everywhere. There were more than 2,000 warriors of the Blood Evil Island here, but less than 800 were left. Many warriors of the Spirit Sea Realm were killed, and there was only one green dwarf left. Whitebeard has been killed. If you don't surrender, I will kill you all. The ring on Lu Li's hand glowed. He grabbed Whitebeard's head and shouted. At the same time, he and Hunchback Tion rushed down separately and started the slaughter. Hunchback Tion was badly injured. He had lost an arm, but Lu Li did not allow him to rest. He had to attack with all his might. He controlled his fate wheel to crush the warriors of the Soul Pond realm in Whitebeard's army. The 7th Patriarch and the 9th Patriarch were both here. The 7th Patriarch had lost a leg, so he was in a worse state than Hunchback Tion. When he saw Lu Li, he burst into tears. The Blood Evil Island was saved. The remaining 800 warriors of the Blood Evil Island had their morale boosted. They started a fight back with Lu Li and Hunchback Tion. On the other hand, Whitebeard's army was terrified. Their boss was dead, and the rest of the 2nd and 3rd commanders had been crushed into minced meat by Hunchback Tion. How could they still fight? Surrender. We surrender. Finally, someone shouted in fear. Following that, a group of people followed suit and knelt on the ground. They threw away the weapons in their hands and shouted that they were surrendering. Lu Li generated more than a dozen phantoms. He was unstoppable. He didn't release his dragon roar because it was unnecessary. After he and Hunchback Tion killed more than a dozen warriors that were trying to run away and more than a dozen that were resisting, Lu Li shouted, "Break their legs and take them down." There were several patriarchs of the Spirit Sea realm with lighter injuries. They rushed over with others like a pack of wolves. They swung their sabers and broke the legs of the Spirit Sea realm bandits and tied them up. There was no other way. There were too few powerful warriors of the Blood Evil Island. Lu Li was afraid that as soon as he left, these people would not be able to control the situation. Let's go. When the situation was almost under control, Lu Li and Hunchback Tion rushed to the 3rd battlefield. What surprised Lu Li was that the bandits here had already left, leaving behind countless bodies and hundreds of warriors of the Blood Evil Island covered in blood. Alas, Lu Li felt guilty. It was not easy for the Blood Evil Island to gather and cultivate a group of powerful warriors and warriors. Because he was a bit late, at least 70 to 80% of them were lost. Go after them. Lu Li was furious. He asked Hunchback Tion to carry him and fly quickly. He wanted to kill all the lake bandits to pay tribute to the warriors of the Blood Evil Island who had died this time. By the time Lu Li and Hunchback Tion flew out of the Blood Evil Island, the more than a dozen battleships had already sailed away. There were only small dots in the distance. Go after them. Lu Li took out 2 top-level healing pellets and threw them to Hunchback Tion. These were given to him by Chioshua, much more advanced than Hunchback Tion's healing pellets. Hunchback Tion swallowed the healing pellets and had no choice but to chase after the bandits with Lu Li. The battleships were not fast. In the time for only half an incense stick to burn, they had caught up with the more than a dozen battleships in front of them. Smash all the ships. Lu Li and Hunchback Tion bellowed and dashed down like arrows. Hunchback Tion controlled his fate wheel to smash at the battleships. One of the battleships was smashed in half, and the dozens of warriors on it were smashed into pieces. Roar! Lu Li released his dragon roar skill, which made a group of people roll around on the ship. What followed was a boring slaughter. This time, Lu Li didn't want to take any prisoners. He and Hunchback Tion joined hands and killed them one by one. The time for 1 incense stick to burn. There were 600 or 700 warriors that retreated from the battleships, but they were all killed by Lu Li and Hunchback Tion in the time for 1 incense stick to burn. There were more than a dozen warriors of the Soul Pond realm that were killed as well. Let's go. After making sure that there were no survivors, Lu Li asked Hunchback Tion to fly around the Blood Evil Island to look for any survivors. Lu Li was in a killing frenzy. If he couldn't kill all the invaders, he would feel sorry for the thousands of warriors of the Blood Evil Island that had died. There are ships over there. Hunchback Tion pointed to the distance and shouted in a deep voice. Lu Li glanced over and saw 7 or 8 battleships that were running away quickly. This time, Hunchback Tion controlled his fate wheel to chase after them without Lu Li's order. After taking 2 top-level healing pellets, Hunchback Tion's wounds were under control. He was almost killed this time, and one of his arms was broken. He was filled with anger and killing intent, and he wanted to vent his anger. The battleships were not fast, so they soon closed the distance. Hunchback Tian sensed for a while and said in a low voice with a frown, "Master, there's a warrior of the Fate Wheel Realm in that battleship." Fate Wheel Realm. Luli was surprised. If there was a warrior of the Fate Wheel Realm, why didn't he attack together with Whitebeard? Luli glanced over and saw that many warriors were wearing armors of Whitebeard's army. He didn't care anymore and coldly shouted, "Kill! Kill them all! Leave no one alive!" Whoosh! Luli took the lead and jumped down to the last battleship. Hunchback Tian made up his mind and controlled his fate wheel to smash into one of the battleships. Bang! The battleship exploded. Pieces of wood were flying around, and the lake water was tumbling. More than a dozen warriors died an unnatural death. Luli started his slaughter as well. Stop! Right at that moment, a shout came from the battleship with the warrior of the Fate Wheel Realm. A young master in a splendid robe walked out with another warrior of the Fate Wheel Realm. He stared at Luli and said, "Luli, these are warriors of the Su family. If you dare to do anything, our army will wipe out the Blood Evil Island." Su Yaoyong? Su Sai? Luli glanced over, but a cruel smile climbed to his face. He swung his halberd and smashed two warriors of the Spirit Sea realm into minced meat. Luli looked at Su Yaoyong with his silver eyes again and said, "These are from the Su family? Very good. Just now, these people attacked the Blood Evil Island and killed thousands of our people. Since they are from the Su family, then they're declaring war on the Blood Evil Island on behalf of the Su family. Today, none of you can escape. Su Yaoyong, I will take your head and worship the dead people on the island." "No." Chapter 244. It was Madame Yin who instructed the lake bandits to attack the Blood Evil Island. His purpose was clear. He wanted to suppress Lu Li and make him yield. He wanted Lu Li to understand that if he offended the Bai family at the Thousand Island Lake, the consequences would be dire. Madame Yin loved and hated Lu Li at the same time. She loved him for his talent and hated him for not striving for success, for being ignorant, and not being able to adapt to the circumstances. Madame Yin did not give herself the nickname of Black Widow. It was acknowledged by many families of the Thousand Island Lake. Luli had never seen Madame Yin's vicious means. Few people at the Thousand Island Lake dared to offend Madame Yin. Madame Yin's order was to massacre the Blood Evil Island, but not Luli. For Madame Yin, slaughtering an island was like slaughtering a herd of cattle and sheep. People were dying at the Thousand Island Lake every day. It didn't matter if a few more died. The Bai family sent many top-level scouts. There were even top-level scouts hiding in the Blood Evil Island. The purpose was to make sure that Luli would not die and to find out if the powerful warrior that followed Luli to the Wuling County had shown up. Madame Yin sent out scouts to control the situation and not let it get out of hand. Once Su Yaoyong was killed, the situation would go out of control. Su Chun must be furious, which was why the two scouts wanted to send a message back as soon as possible. After Luli shouted, he ordered Hunchback Tian, "Smash them to death." Hunchback Tian's expression changed. Smashing Su Yaoyong and Su Sai to death would cause a huge commotion. Su Chen would definitely be enraged, and all the experts of the Su family would be mobilized. The most important thing was that the Bai family was behind all this. Luli didn't care, but Hunchback Tian was going to make a living at the Thousand Island Lake in the future. How could he live if he offended the Bai family? However, Hunchback Tian could not disobey Lu Li's order. Otherwise, the soul worms would eat his soul pond. He gritted his teeth and controlled his fate wheel to smash at Su Sai and Su Yaoyong. "Are you serious?" Su Sai was shocked. With a flash of light in his lower abdomen, the fate wheel appeared immediately. Like Hunchback Tian, his fate wheel was of the first layer. He was at the initial stage of the fate wheel realm. He was not sure that he could defeat Lu Li and Hunchback Tian. He had to shout, "Young master, let's go." "Very good. Lu Li, you have guts." Su Yaoyong sneered again and again. but he did not dare to stay any longer. He flew to another warship and steered it into the distance. Still want to escape? Lu Li's silver eyes were filled with killing intent. After he smashed several warriors away with his halberd, he raised his arms, took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and let out a roar. Countless cultivators clutched their heads and rolled off the deck. Susai was slightly affected. His facial muscles twisted, and his eyes revealed a trace of pain. Bang! Lu Li leaped up on a battleship. He generated more than a dozen shadows in midair, leaping around the battleship and chasing after Su Yaoyang's battleship. Lu Li, how dare you? Susai flew into a rage and shouted. He was terrified. After his fate wheel bumped against Hunchback Tian's, Susai controlled his fate wheel to smash at Lu Li. Even though Madame Yin had ordered him not to kill Lu Li, he couldn't care less now. Idiot! Lu Li's shadows disappeared one by one. He came back and stood on a battleship near Susai. He leaped up and threw Little White out. At the same time, he let out another roar at Susai. Lu Li's dragon roar was more powerful now. Warriors at the initial stage of the Fate Wheel realm were affected a bit. At this realm, 1 second was enough to decide life and death. Susai was stunned for a second. Little White's claws had pierced into his fate wheel, and it was gnawing at it. Before Susai could react, Little White had snuck into his fate wheel. Alas, Hunchback Tian sighed. Susai was doomed now that his fate wheel was broken. Nobody could defeat Lu Li today. Everyone was going to die. Poof! Soon, Susai blacked out and spat out blood. He fell from the deck into the lake. Lu Li flew over and smashed Susai to death with his mighty heaven halberd without any hesitation. Oh no! A scout of the Bai family hiding in the lake in the distance was frightened. There was no turning back now. The Su family only had 3 warriors of the Fate Wheel realm. With 1 dead, the Su family would be reduced to a 3rd-rank force. Susai must have a Jade Talisman of Life at the Su family. Su Qin would know soon. Lu Li didn't show much emotion after he killed Susai. If Susai and Su Yaoyang weren't with the bandits, Lu Li wouldn't be so angry. Since the Su family and Madame Yin wanted to play, then he would make it big. He could bring the Lu family into the small world and come out in 2 months. Once He Cha and the others made the breakthrough, he would go to the Central Plains and he would be less afraid of the Bai family. The Bai family wouldn't go to the Central Plains to hunt him down, would they? Lu Li didn't have any scruples. He didn't stop for even a moment. He swung his halberd and killed all the bandits. There weren't many bandits left here. Most of them had gone to the Blood Evil Island. There were only dozens left. Lu Li and Hunchback Tian killed more than half of them. Whoosh! Lu Li carried his halberd, jumped up, and rushed towards the battleship where Su Yaoyang was. Su Yaoyang was bleeding from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth like a ghost. Lu Li just got up. He glanced over and saw all the battleships nearby were dead bodies. Susai's body was floating in the lake as well. Su Yaoyang trembled in fear when he saw Lu Li flying towards him with a halberd stained with blood. Lu Li's cyan robe was already dyed red. He was filled with killing intent. He looked like a god of death walking out from hell. Lu Li, you can't kill me. You can't kill me. Su Yaoyang shouted hysterically. If you kill me, my father will come right away. By then, there will be nothing left on the Blood Evil Island. Also, it is Madame Yan's idea. If you kill me, Madame Yin will not show mercy to you. If you don't kill me, we can talk it over. Swish! What answered Su Yaoyang was a blood-red halberd with a whistling sound. Ever since he killed someone at the De Long tribe for the first time, Lu Li's heart had been as hard as a stone. He had always been cold-blooded and merciless to his enemies. Words wouldn't change anything. He would kill them first. Bang! Su Yaoyang's head exploded. He couldn't be more dead. Lu Li didn't even look at Su Yaoyang. He rushed over and killed the rest. Go back. After he killed everyone, Lu Li waved his hand emotionlessly. An hour had passed. Lu Li was worried that the weakened period of his burning blood skill was coming to an end. He wanted to go back and settle everything and make sure it was safe before anything else. He has the potential to be an ambitious man. Hunchback Tian looked at Lu Li's calm face and exclaimed to himself, if Lu Li could survive, he would definitely become an ambitious man that could dominate an area. To be an ambitious man at the northern desert, one must be cruel. If one was not cruel to his enemies, then nobody would be afraid of him. To become an overlord, kindness and moral conduct were useless. One must be awe-inspiring and have everyone fear him. Something big is going to happen. After Lu Li and Hunchback Tian flew back to the Blood Evil Island on their fate wheels, a scout of the Bai family emerged from the lake. He looked solemn. Chapter 245. Su Chun had the habit of having afternoon tea. Usually, he would be accompanied by concubines. Su Chun married many concubines, about 15 or 16 in total. At the moment, he was drinking tea in one of the concubines' rooms. There were 3 concubines in the room. The 3 concubines were as pretty as flowers and jade. All of them were as pretty as Su Fangfei. They were young, pretty, and had good figures. They were wearing revealing clothes. One of them was rubbing Su Chin's shoulders, one was massaging his feet, and the last one was sitting in Su Chin's arms and feeding him tea. She was not feeding him with a cup, but with her mouth. Bang, 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 there came some hurried footsteps. Su Chin was a bit displeased. He took his hand out of the dress of the beauty in his arms. He waved his hand, and the concubine behind him walked to the door, ready to scold the impudent person outside. Bang! The door was smashed open. A man rushed in. At that moment, Su Chun was filled with killing intent. Xian energy glowed in his hand. He was ready to kill at the slightest provocation. When he saw it was a girl, his daughter, Su Fangfei, his killing intent weakened. He scolded, Fangfei, how can you be so rude? Don't you know how to knock? Su Fangfei's hair and robe were messy. Her eyes were filled with tears, and her face was pale. She didn't look at the concubines in revealing clothes. She cried, Father, my brother is dead, and so is second patriarch. Their jade talismans of life are broken. Boom! Su Chun stood up abruptly. He looked at the 2 broken jade talismans of life in Su Fangfei's hands. He trembled, and killing intent surged out. One of the concubines was so scared that she stepped back and fell to the ground. Whoosh! Su Chin paused for a second. Then he flew out and shouted to the sky, all warriors above the peak of the Spirit Sea realm, gather outside the yard. Now! Su Chin's shout was so loud that half of the God-down city could hear it. The entire Su family was in a mess. It had been years since Su Chun last shouted like this. Something big must have happened. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Many people ran to the gate of the Su family and waited outside in an orderly manner. All of them were surprised. The Su family was a 4th-rank family. Even though it ranked last in the Thousand Island Lake, the Su family had many warriors. There were at least 200 warriors of the Soul Pond realm and 10,000 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. The Su clan's grand elder hurried over. When he saw Su Chan walking toward the gate with a murderous aura, he quickly asked, Clan leader, what happened? Su Chan closed his eyes in grief and said, Yao Yang and Sai are dead, just now. Su Tianwen's wrinkled face began to tremble, and a cold light shot out from his eyes. Su Sai and Su Yaoyang had gone to the Blood Evil Island to supervise the war. Now, both of them were dead. Something must have happened at the Blood Evil Island. Lu Li. Su Tianwen clenched his teeth and shouted in a deep voice. No matter how Su Sai and Su Yaoyang died, Lu Li had something to do with it. At the Thousand Island Lake, apart from Lu Li, who dared to kill Su Yaoyang, the warriors of the Su family gathered quickly. In the time for just one incense stick to burn, many warriors above the peak of the Spirit Sea realm had gathered outside the gate, more than 1,000. Su Chen walked out with Su Tianwen in strides. He glanced around and didn't see if everyone was here. Su Chen waved his hand and said, Go and fight. Go to the Blood Evil Island as fast as you can and raise the Blood Evil Island to the ground. Yes, all the warriors shouted and rushed toward the gate in an orderly manner at the top of their speed. Many people didn't know what was going on, but they could tell that Su Chun was enraged to the extreme. Anyone that displeased him would be killed right away. Whoosh! Su Chun and Su Tianwen both released their fate wheels. They flew up and dashed toward the gate like shooting stars. The warriors sent to fight this time were at least at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm. They were fast. In the time for just half an incense stick to burn, they had rushed out of the gate and disappeared into the distance. The city was in an uproar. This was the first time in 10 years that the Su family sent out such a large force. Judging by Su Chen's behavior, the Blood Evil Island would be wiped out this time. Something bad is going to happen. Many people were in a panic. Lu Li was valued by the Bai family. Bai Qiushue and Bai Xiaoshuang traveled more than 10 miles to see Lu Li off. They traveled thousands of miles to the Yu Emperor city for Lu Li, and it was said that they stayed at the Blood Evil Island for a few days. If Lu Li was killed, would Bai Xiaoshuang and Bai Qiushue bring powerful warriors of the Bai family to the God-Down city in a fit of rage? In an outdoor pavilion at the Bai Emperor Mountain, Madame Yin was drinking tea quietly. The twins were standing on the side. The expressions of the two sisters turned ugly, especially Autumn Snow, whose face was as white as frost. Even Bai Xiaoshuang was pouting. Madame Yin was wearing a purple cheongsam today. Her perfect figure was on full display. Her figure was much better than the twins. The twins were lilies in bud, while Madame Yin was a rose in full bloom. Seeing that Madame Yin was just sitting quietly without saying anything, Bai Qiushue made up her mind and said again, "Annie, the Bai family is a first-class family at the Northern Desert. Shouldn't we be open-minded and accept all kinds of people? Lu Li just doesn't want to join the Bai family at the moment. I think it is normal for him to refuse. What's more, Lu Li saved our lives. Now you want to deal with him? If this is spread across the Northern Desert, what will people think of the Bai family?" Bai Xiaoshuang tried to persuade her as well. "Auntie, Lu Li is a nice guy. Please spare him this time." Madame Yin still said nothing. When Bai Qiushue was about to say something again, Madame Yin waved her hand and said, "I have said it. I have sent a message. Don't take Lu Li's life. This is just to teach him a lesson. Why are you two in such a hurry? Do you like him? If so, then Lu Li deserves to die." "No." Bai Qiushue raised her eyebrows and said, "Given Lu Li's character, if you send someone to kill the warriors of the Blood Evil Island, he will risk his life. He was a person who could do anything when he went crazy. When that time came, something big would definitely happen. No, I have to go and have a look." Bai Xiaoshuang was eager to see the world in chaos. She added, I want to go as well." "Stop," Madame Yin said coldly. "Are you done messing around? I haven't taught you a lesson yet. You want to mess around again? Do you believe that I will lock you up for a year?" Whoosh! Right at that moment, a man rushed over from the distance. It was Bai Ding who served Madame Yin. As soon as he arrived, he shouted, "Madam, urgent news. Whitebeard was killed by Lu Li. Su Sai and Su Yaoyang were also killed by Lu Li. The scouts didn't see that mysterious warrior. Our men saw with their own eyes that Lu Li and Hunchback Tian killed Su Yaoyang, Su Sai, and Whitebeard together." Madame Yin, Bai Qiushue, and Bai Xiaoshuang were shocked by the news. Soon, Bai Xiaoshuang said with a smile, Good. That punk Lu Li is good. Good my ass." Madame Yin couldn't help but swear. She looked at Bai Ding and shouted, "What about the God-Down city? Is there anything going on?" "Not yet." Bai Ding cupped his fists and said. As soon as he finished his words, Chief Steward Bai flew over like a sharp arrow. He shouted from the distance, "Madam, there is news from the God-Down city. Su Chun has brought all the powerful warriors of the God-Down city to the Blood Evil Island." Something is wrong. Madame Yin and Bai Qiushue's expressions changed. Madame Yin reacted quickly. She shouted, "Bai Ding, send a message to Bai Gu and Bai Rui. Tell them to teleport to the God-Down city at once. Then go to the Blood Evil Island to control the situation. Don't let it get worse. I will report to Uncle Shi." Bai Gu and Bai Rui were at the Heaven Prison City. They were powerful warriors of the Eternal Realm. They could teleport to the Blood Evil Island to control the situation. Bai Ding left in a hurry. Madame Yin rushed to Bai Shi's castle with Bai Qiuxue and Bai Xiaoshuang following her. Bai Shi was reading some materials in the castle. Before Madame Yin could explain the situation, Bai Shi threw away the materials and said coldly, "Yin, I just got some information. Powerful warriors of the Heaven Martial Kingdom sneaked into the Thousand Island Lake. I think they are from a Yu family. Tell Dao Lung to bring someone to the Blood Evil Island and kill all the warriors of the Yu family. They are rebelling." Swish, swish, Bai Qiuxue and Bai Xiaoshuang looked at each other. Their faces were pale. The Yu family was taking advantage of the situation. Could Luli survive? P.S. Chapter 4. Monthly votes, monthly votes, monthly votes. More than 1,000 readers. 29466569 Sina Weibo. The writer, Wicked Knight WeChat public account. Yaoya588 or search for Wicked Knight. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.